All right, the brake tapping is underway. East and westbound 40 between 24 and West Nashville. Then northbound 65 at 240 downtown. Then northbound 65 north of downtown 224. And, of course, 24 eastbound brake tapping all the way to Briley Parkway as it continues to build. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 3:07 on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson. I'm your friend and radio buddy. I'm your farb, or as they call me around here these days, short timer.
That's right.
Well, that's all right. I don't have a short timer's attitude. I'm going to be in it till I'm not in it anymore. All the way till 24th of December, I'm going to be cranking it. So let's get started here. I thought I'd start today just by sort of setting the table and looking at the big picture so that we know where we are. And the news, ladies and gentlemen, is really good. I mean, it really is quite good. Let's talk about the House of Representatives. As you know, Associated Press has not yet called it. They have not yet said that Republicans will control the House. Fox goes with AP. And so Fox and AP have said, well, we're at 214 GOP seats, 205 Dems with 16 seats remaining. But there are other people who do this kind of work besides the Associated Press. And the Hill.com and Decision Desk HQ have, along with Newsmax and Real Clear Politics, they've already called it. They say that Republicans will control the House of Representatives. They have it at 219 seats currently, 210 Democrat House seats, and that leaves about 6 seats as yet undecided. So that's probably close to where we're going to come down. Maybe we'll pick up 1 or 2 more, but that's the way it looks at the moment. So that's really good. Then you got the Senate. I've already, as you know, that's already been decided. The Republicans will control the Senate body, 53 to 47, the way it stands right now. I think there's maybe one seat outstanding. No, that would be it. That'd be all 100. So it's been called. GOP will hold. Are you ready? This is where it gets good, folks, when you start adding up the tabulation. The Republicans will control the White House. Republicans will control the Senate. The Republicans, it looks like it, I'm going to go ahead and call it, will control the House of Representatives. There will be a 6-3 conservative majority in the Supreme Court of these United States, and a majority of the governorships will be Republican. If we screw this up, we can't point our fingers at anybody else but us. We can run the table if we choose to. And if it doesn't go well, it isn't because we don't have the votes. Republicans will control all of this stuff, and conservatives will control the Supreme Court. So let's get busy. Let's get on it. Let's decide what we're going to do and do it. I know much has been said about what's going to happen in the Senate majorities race. As you know, Mitch McConnell, he's not going to be the guy anymore. And you got your Johns, you got your John Thune, you got your John Cornyn, and you got your Rick Scott. And I know that many of you out there, and I'm well aware of the campaign to push for Rick Scott. He's an interesting guy. I've been around him some. I liked him. I met him when he was governor of the state of Florida. Spent a couple of hours with him, and he says that he is ready to become the majority leader.
I'm very optimistic. I believe I'm going to win. You know, Thune and Cornyn are friends. Here's what I bring to the table. I clearly believe in the Trump agenda, number one. I'm a business guy that had success doing exactly what we need to do in the Senate. We need to have a plan. We need to work a plan. We need to have a team. We need to measure ourselves. If we want to get all the nominees done, we've got to figure out a plan to get it done. If we want to get a balanced budget, we got to start today to get a balanced budget. If we want to get the border secure, if we want to get whatever policies we have to get through Congress, we have to have a plan, just like what you do in business. I ran a company with 285,000 employees. We had a written plan for everything to get it done. My colleagues have told me they want change. They want to be treated as equal. They want to be part of a team. They want to have an agenda. They want to have a great relationship with the House. They know I have a great relationship with Speaker Mike Johnson. So I'm very optimistic that I'm going to win because I'm representing Trump's agenda and what my colleagues want.
Well, okay. Now, here's what I'm going to say to you, and don't get mad at me. I'm just giving you my assessment of it. That I'm not sure that Scott's going to win this thing. And it goes back to a lot of things like personal loyalty, people who've been, you know, in the number 2 spot for a long time, as both the Cornyn and Thune have been. But Brit Hume put it right. He says, look, there are among senators, there are questions about Scott.
And Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and others who are supporting Senator Scott. I actually think Senator Scott's kind of a long shot. The reason being that for example, he was the head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee in the 21-22 election cycle, raised a ton of money. As you may recall, the Republicans had a very disappointing result in those midterm elections when remember the big red wave was supposed to come, it never broke. And there were a lot of questions about where all that money went, why it was all spent so early in the process, and how much of it was spent by Scott to boost himself. And I don't think he's close to a lot of senators. And I think this pressure from Trump world to support him is likely to backfire. Senators are jealous of their authority, their powers. They don't like to be told what to do. And I think that the other 2 candidates are more likely to win. I couldn't tell you which one, but I think Scott's a long shot.
Well, look, I'm not sure how without walking the floors and talking to people, I don't know that I can tell you exactly how it's going to come out. But I would say that I like Britt. I think he is the long shot candidate. But he does have the support of the man who just won the White House and has changed the face of politics. And there is a campaign going, so maybe that will all change. I don't have a dog in that fight. I know all 3 of these individuals to some degree, have covered all 3 of these individuals to one degree or another. And I can tell you this, I think that any of the 3 that might be picked will be a sight lot better than the one we had, with all due respect to Mitch McConnell, or as we like to call him here, Mitch McConnell. So that's I mean, good. No, look, I get it. I know what you're hearing out there, and I appreciate it. I heard Haggerty's going to go for Scott, and that the Senator Blackburn was a bit non-committal. As far as I know, it's a secret vote, so I don't know that you'll ever know for sure. But one way or the other, that is the matter that I guess is everybody sort of focused on right now. Over in the House of Representatives, the question is, will Speaker Johnson be Speaker Johnson in the newly elected House? He certainly thinks so. And when asked about this last election, he said, look, you have to say that a lot of this is on the state legislatures in many states who did what they could to bring voter integrity back.
The mantra and what we said at the rallies and what President Trump was apt to say all the time is we had to make it too big to rig, and we did. Look, we know for a fact, it is a fact, that non-citizens voted in some places around the country because they were signing up to vote and they were defying federal law, but the states were not enforcing the requirement that there be proof of citizenship before they sign up. So I am grateful to tell you, and I said this on the campaign trail for a year, that I had confidence that because of the chaos that was related to the 2020 election, most of the states got busy. To their credit, the legislatures in the states got busy and passed legislation to shore up their systems in states around the country. I mean, there were hundreds of pieces of legislation that were passed, duly enacted, signed into law by the governors that shored up those systems and made sure they would be more secure.
There you go. And very windy on Capitol Hill today. Okay, what else? Oh, yeah. We're going to get into detail about all of the cabinet positions and who's being talked about, who has actually been announced, and the rest of that in the next hour. But I'll tell you, I am excited about this idea of Tom Homan as the border czar. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you're a czar, that means you report you don't have to go through any confirmation process. You report directly to the president. You have wide-ranging latitude. You are his guy on this topic. Being a czar is not an official, there is no position of czar, in the Constitution. So it is somebody who is a problem solver. And Tom Homan, I'm excited about this guy getting to work on the immigration issue, which was so important in this last election.
I think that the calling is clear. I got to go back and help because every morning I get up. Every morning I'm pissed off about what this administration did to the most secure border in my lifetime. So I'm going to go back and do what I can to fix it. This is the second time I get out of retirement for this president. And because it matters. And look, I was a Border Patrol agent. I wore that uniform, and I'm proud that I wore that uniform. So, and I was an ICE agent. I was the first ICE director that actually came up through the ranks. So the 20,000 men and women that worked for me, I didn't ask them to do anything. I didn't do myself because I was one of them. So look, I know the border, and I know there's a lot of great patriots. Look, I shut my phone off Friday night because I couldn't handle the phone calls, the texts, and emails from thousands of ICE agents and Border Patrol agents excited about the rumor I'm coming back. But more importantly, that thousands of retired agents, retired Border Patrol agents, retired military that want to come in and volunteer to help this president secure the border and do the deportation operation. So I've been off the grid for 3 days just because I couldn't handle all the phone calls, and plus all the death threats rolling in. My family's not at home right now because that's starting. But that's something we're going to deal with. They're not going to bully me away. They're not going to shut me up. They're not going to make me go away. This is the biggest national security vulnerability this nation has seen since 9/11. We have to fix it. Public safety threats and national security threats will be the priority because they have to be. They pose the most danger to this country. So we're going to prioritize those groups, those who always have final orders, those that had due process at great taxpayer expense, and the federal judge says you must go home, and they didn't. They became a fugitive. This administration has lost over 300,000 children that were smuggled in this country by criminal cartels they can't find. That's another priority. We need to save these children because some of these children are in forced labor, some of these children are in sex trafficking, some of these children are living a life of hell every day, and we need to save these children and get them back with their families. You have a right to claim asylum. You have a right to see a judge, and we make that happen. But at the end of that due process, if the judge says you must go home, then we have to take them home. And because if we're not, what the hell are we doing? If the judge's order doesn't mean anything, then shut down the immigration court, take the Border Patrol off the border. So there's no consequences violating the laws of this country. We'll give you a fair shake. You get a chance to claim asylum, but due process doesn't mean squat if the final decision of the court isn't carried out. And look, I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way, but we're going to do it.
Love this guy. There's the passion that we need. And he's going to have the full authority of the executive branch behind him. He will. I love the fact that this guy's coming in. I wish it were January 20th already and he could start his work. We're going to resolve that issue. So, look, there's a lot of ground between now and January 20th. I think the things that we have to do is look at these cabinet appointments, figure out how, which ones are going to have tough fights and getting confirmed. If there is even going to be a confirmation process, one of the solutions they say is just do recess appointments and move on. But that's not the way it is traditionally done. We'll see. I don't have any problem with recess appointments because I like the people that are being named. I think there's a lot of good names out there. So we're watching all of that very closely. Now, coming up in a moment, there is a big decision this morning. Well, I guess you should say it's not a decision. It's sort of a treading water decision about the one remaining Trump case that he needs to be concerned about. I'll get to that in just a moment. 21 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
We have breaking news regarding Pentagon secrets leaker Jack Teixeira. We'll share it with you at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom, and over there pushing the blinky buttons is Chris Weber in the control room. I am your friend and radio buddy. I'll be, just to make sure you are up to speed on my plan, I'm going to be here Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, all the way through my last show on December 24th. And, hopefully that, the next day Santa Claus will just be really good to me. After that's all I can hope for.
No, you're going back to the North Pole with him.
Yeah,
He's got some work for you to do.
Cabana wife would tell you there'll be a lot of coal in my stocking, that's for sure. But no, I'll be working all the way there. And then I will be stepping away from the full-time broadcast, not stepping away from the station. And in case you missed it on Friday when we made that announcement. So filling in on Mondays and Fridays will be Matt Murphy. And that's all I can tell you because that's all I know. But again, very quick thank you to all of the people. I mean, I was at times, I'll be honest with you, brought to tears this weekend.
Wow.
Reading some of the comments from people about what this show has meant and what, you do the show. I mean, you come in here every day and you give it your best. And, some days you walk away and say, well, that's a pretty good show. And some days you walk away saying, well, it really stuck up the joint today. But one way or the other, you try to give it your best. And you never know, really. What's going on out there, because it just kind of goes out into the ether airwaves and you never know, how it's taken on the other side by and large. People were so lovely in their comments about what this show and my contributions to their life have been. I mean, look, you get a little thing on Facebook and, you do the like or you do the funny face or whatever it is. And, that's generally all. People took time to write graphs and graphs of things that they wanted me to know.
Wow, that's really nice.
I mean, it was overwhelming. Nice. Thousands and thousands of people saw that clip of tape from Friday, and thousands of comments to me. There's no way I can respond to all of them. I did try to at least acknowledge them by letting you know that I saw them, but beyond that, it's really hard for me because it's just too many. It's just overwhelming. But golly, thank you. It meant the world to me. And, I'm just going to try to give you the best show I can until the last day. And then I'll still be around doing other stuff. What that other stuff is, we're still working all that out. But I'm not going away. I'm just not going to be doing the daily show anymore. But thank you again. I mean, deeply, deeply touched. And I just don't have the words to express what it meant to me. To read some of the lovely comments. There's a couple of jackasses out there, but beyond that, but by and large, I mean, really, there really are about two or three people who decided to be jackasses about it.
Yeah.
But that's okay. You get the world's full of a jackass. You got to have a jackass every now and then. All right, listen, we got a lot of ground to cover here. I am going to get into this Judge Merchan decision to not decide, what that means, and you'll hear from a couple of the best legal minds in the business, Andrew McCarthy and Jonathan Turley, on what they're reading into that. It was a surprise, to say the least. But right now at 3:30, it's time for the news on Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and we've got breaking news right now regarding Pentagon secrets leaker Jack Teixeira. The Massachusetts Air National Guard member has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. The Pentagon saying Teixeira's actions was a deliberate criminal act when he posted photos of sensitive U.S. military documents on the social media platform Discord without authorization last year. Here in Tennessee, state lawmakers took steps today that could alter court systems across the state. Channel 4 says it's in light of the murder of a young Mississippi woman, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, Bryson Rivers, who was able to cross state lines when he was released from jail in Nashville. There was a series of system malfunctions being blamed in the death of Lauren Johansson. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik explains the steps the state wants to make sure doesn't happen again.
They talked about electronic signatures, streamlining local rules, and separating bonding and monitoring companies. That was an issue senators believe led to Johansson's murder.
The inherent conflict of interest right there between monitoring to make sure they show up and monitoring to save someone's life because they violated bond conditions that were there and put there for that very purpose and was the intent of this body right here was public safety.
U.S. is banning flights in and out of Haiti after 2 planes were hit by gunfire at the airport in Port-au-Prince. JetBlue and Spirit planes struck by gunfire as they approached Haiti, said to be fired by Haitian gangs on the ground. Trump transition. President-elect Trump confirming he is appointing former governor of Arkansas Mike Huckabee to be United States ambassador to Israel. Trump also confirming Army Special Forces combat veteran Florida Republican Congressman Mike Waltz as national security advisor. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Not seeing any crashes slowing your way home today. It's just volume. We've got it building eastbound 24. It's brake tapping all the way over to Briley Parkway. We've got northbound 65 to 440, northbound 65 to 40 downtown, then east and westbound 40, the usual there between downtown and the airport. 65 northbound to get up to 24. That's slow go pretty much all the way around the West Loop. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, some big news from the folks at DT McCall's. If you've been thinking about buying a gun safe but putting it off, now's the time. Gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. It's hunting season, so be sure you're keeping your gun safe when you're not in the tree stand with a Liberty gun safe from DT McCall's. DT McCall's is the largest Liberty safe dealer in Tennessee. Why? Well, free delivery and setup. Others charge $500 at least for the big models, and setup of the smaller models goes for around $300. DT McCall & Sons delivers every safe free, every time period, never a setup charge. Security is so important these days. Don't you need to make sure that your guns are safe, but also other things, valuables, cash, jewelry, important documents, wills, deeds, car titles. Whatever you need to keep safe from theft or fire can go into one of these gun safes. So save some big bucks now on your Liberty gun safe when you shop at your local DT McCall's. Go to dtmccalls.com for location and information.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing. The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Let's call it 38 minutes now, past the hour of 3 o'clock. It's the first hour of the drive on this beautiful Tuesday, November 12th. I mean, this is good fall weather right here, don't you think, Chris?
Yes, it is. Oh, boy, yeah.
You know, I mean, I got a 63 degrees out there and just lovely, lovely weather, abundant sunshine, and mostly clear. Well, clear to partly cloudy skies. I mean, it's just, I mean, without today, I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting here in Watertown.
That was a Chamber of Commerce kind of day out there.
Well, it was a Chamber of Commerce kind of day, and we got big news going in Watertown. We got, yeah, we got a big grant to put in a I don't know what you call it. It's a thing that turns locomotives around.
A turntable.
A turntable is a big turntable. Yeah. And
that's exciting.
Well, it is because they're rebuilding one of the steam locomotives. It used to be on display down there in Nashville, and they've actually gone and they're rehabilitating it, and they're going to put it on the rails. But in order for it to be used, it has to have some place to go where they can turn it around and send it back. And so that is in the works. We're going to have. So the choo-choo will be coming down to Watertown sometime in the future, and they're in the process now of trying to figure out how that all goes. And we get the all-important sewer and paving projects.
Oh, you got to have those.
Yeah, you got to have those. Mm-hmm. And so, it's important time here in Watertown. We got all kinds of things.
Big stuff happening.
Big stuff happening in the burg of Watertown, bucolic Watertown, as we like to call it. All right, there was a thing today that happened that was not expected to happen. It had to do with this Judge Juan Merchan. He was expected to decide whether to uphold or dismiss President-elect Donald Trump's guilty verdict in the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's case against him. Now, Trump said he was not guilty of all 34 counts, but he was found guilty in May after a 6-week-long unprecedented criminal trial in New York. And he was expected today to issue a written opinion on the president-elect's request to toss out his conviction. Now, Merchan could order a new trial or dismiss the indictment and charges altogether, which is what the Trump people want. And then, so just as this hearing was about to get underway, came the word, we're putting it on hold. Everything the judge says is now on hold. And I don't know what that means. Jonathan Turley has his suspicions that it might be like permanently on hold while Trump remains president. But here's what he thought about it.
I think the worst possible option is the suspending this during the pendency of the next term. I find that a curious choice if the judge were to make it. The Trump team needs to be able to appeal this case and not have this hanging over the new president's head. I'm still surprised if that would be an option. We'll see. The best option, in my view, is a dismissal of the case because of the layers of reversible error. The court can walk away from this case. It didn't work. The lawfare didn't work, and he's going to be the next president. And it's time for mature minds to prevail, and in a week, just dismiss this case, which should never have been brought in the first place.
Well, I agree, absolutely. I hope that's not the plan, for it to be on hold, ad nauseum, just sort of sitting out there while President Trump is president. So you can't bring a case against the president when he's sitting in the Oval Office. You just can't. So I don't know what the judge is up to. Andrew McCarthy said, here's the thing, that if you really want to get technical about it, yes, the jury has returned a verdict, but he's not a felon until he is sentenced. and he hasn't been sentenced yet, and may not be. Here's Andrew McCarthy.
Yeah, I just think one point that we're missing here is that Trump is not a convicted felon. Technically, a judgment of conviction is not entered until he's sentenced. And I think one of the reasons that they asked for the delay in the first place is they're hoping to get the case thrown out by Merchan without ever having a judgment of conviction entered. The whole point of the motion to dismiss or the motion to vacate the convictions was that he never become a convicted felon in the first place. And as long as this is frozen, technically he's not a convicted felon, even though, rhetorically he's addressed that way.
Yeah, I mean, the Democrats are going to call him that, but he's not. Isn't that interesting? I hadn't thought about it in those terms. And Andrew McCarthy, once again, revealing his understanding of law that mere mortals do not possess. Trump's attorneys have requested that Merchan overturn the guilty verdict, citing the Supreme Court's decision that former presidents have substantial immunity from prosecution for official acts in office. Trump's legal team argued that certain evidence presented by Bragg and New York prosecutors during the trial should not have been admitted as they were official acts. Specifically, Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, argued that testimony from former White House Communications Director Hope Hicks, former Special Assistant to the President Madeleine Westerhout, testimony regarding the Special Counsel's Office and congressional investigations, and the pardon power, testimony regarding President Trump's response to FEC inquiries, his presidential Twitter posts, and other related testimonies were impermissibly admitted during trial. This according to Fox News. Blanche said that official acts evidence that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg presented to the grand jury contravened the holding in Trump because the president cannot be indicted based on conduct for which they are immune from prosecution. The president's immunity doctrine recognized in Trump pertains to all criminal proceedings, including grand jury proceedings, when a prosecutor seeks to charge a former president using official evidence of official acts. So, I mean, I don't think this thing is going anywhere. And even if he waits until Trump is no longer president, then sentences him, which would be one of the weirdest things in the history of the law, in my estimation. It is still the case is absolutely filled with reversible error. As Jonathan Turley put it, there's layer upon layer of reversible error. So, in one way, it'd be good to go ahead and get the sentence. He's not expected to get jail time, and just, then begin the appeal process. And the appeal process, I think a lot of this nonsense that went on in Judge Merchan's courtroom will fall by the wayside. And he'll be called out for being exactly what he was, a judicial hitman, as was Alvin Bragg and all of that. So, look, I mean, it was a nothing case that should have never been brought. They brought it as part of the lawfare. The people have spoken in a big way that none of that concerned them. They had all of that information about everything that they tried to level at Trump, and none of it stuck. And the American people took a look at Donald Trump and said, hey, he's our guy. We want him to be the president. Once he becomes president, you can't do anything. But, I mean, what is Merchan up to? What might he be, doing? And why the delay? Does he want to wait till, the day before inauguration or something? And then put him in jail or try to put him in jail? You can't do that because it automatically goes on appeal. So I don't get it. I don't know what game is being played here. Merchan maybe just doesn't want people to know just how much of a fraud he really is. That may be it. He realizes, I really stuck my neck out to get this conviction, and I ruled against him time and time again, and there is reversible error. I'm well aware of it. This was not so much about the law, but getting Trump, and we got him, and now that he's president, I'm afraid I'm going to be found out for the fraud that I am. One way or the other, it was a big surprise today that I didn't think that we would be there at all. Here's an interesting story from the Washington Examiner. about which of the Biden executive orders will be the first to go under Trump. And remember, Biden was the king of executive orders. He did a lot by executive order because he didn't have the votes. Biden was very aggressive in January of 21, signing 24 executive orders during his first 8 days in the Oval Office. The moves attached criticism from Republicans who accused Biden of hypocrisy after saying on the campaign trail that executive order should be limited unless you're a dictator. He did say that. Trump has promised an extensive day one agenda on January 20th, 2025, attracting controversy for joking that he'd serve as a dictator only one day, and that's on day one. He was joking, and everybody takes that so seriously. Not all of that work will involve executive orders, though they will be part of the mix as he flexes his newfound powers. Trump spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt promised Sunday on Fox News that there'll be tens of executive orders. I can assure you that. We know that he promised to sign an executive order to secure the southern border, something the Harris-Biden administration has refused to do. We know that on day one, he's going to launch the largest mass deportation operation of illegal immigrants in American history. Leavitt also said an executive order can be expected to bring back the remains of the Remain in Mexico program for migrants seeking asylum, along with one that will expedite permitting for fracking and drilling. We're going to drill, baby, drill. Biden's 2021 pace was higher than any of his predecessors. Trump signed just 4 executive orders during his first week in the White House in 2017. Barack Obama signed 5 in 2009. George Bush did not sign any during his first week in 2001. Trump is unlikely to match Biden's pace this time around. Much of Biden's work involved pandemic-related executive orders, including one requiring masks. How did that work out? Another reviving the National Security Council's Global Health Unit, reflecting his campaign's heavy focus on combating the virus. Trump is also unlikely to take any executive action undoing Biden's extensive efforts to forgive student loans, according to Cato Institute scholar Andrew Gillen. The courts have already put a pause on things and are likely to rule against Biden's plan. By doing nothing, he can focus on higher priority issues. I think Gillen's right on that. The courts are going to strike him down, so it doesn't matter. Gillen does expect Trump to move on Title IX regulations regarding transgender students, particularly with regard to women's sports. The cultural stuff is what I think we'll see on day one, fighting against what Trump calls wokeness and being anti-DEI. I wouldn't be surprised to see executive action on those. I wouldn't either. So those are the things that are on the immediate horizon, day one, once he stands and takes the oath there in the nation's capital. 50 minutes now past the hour. Hey, have you heard about the item Costco keeps running out of? They're gold bars. They just can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, it is in ways outperforming other assets like stocks and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. Hey, do you know where you can get gold when Costco has run out? From my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin. They've always got it on hand. They sell the same high-quality products as Costco and other national online retailers, and they will not overcharge you. And as a bonus, guess what? You'll be supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line personalized customer service. Nashville Gold & Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. Make an appointment today with Nashville Gold & Coin. Go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Tennessee state lawmakers getting a better understanding today of the bonding and monitoring process before writing legislation to ensure there's never a murder like the one last summer. Details at 4 on SuperTalk 99.7 WTN.
All right, taking a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrials down 382 points today. S&P down 17. NASDAQ down 17. So all screens are red today. What's driving the market? Time to check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yep, the S&P and NASDAQ snapped their winning streak. The market's really been on a tear after the election's over. The Trump trade, as it's referred to, the market's been pretty excited about potentially lower taxes and decreased regulation. So had a really good return. Bitcoin almost hit 90,000 today, so that's continued to climb, but the market taking a little bit of break. All eyes tomorrow. They're going to really be looking at the Consumer Price Index. This is going to be the first inflation reading since the election. The expectation is it's going to come in flat, and of course the Fed's going to be watching that really close. The market and investors and really everyone hopes that that will continue to decrease with inflation, so rates will come down. So core CPI, Consumer Price Index, really important reports the market's going to be watching tomorrow.
All right, thank you very much, John. And to find out about all the things that John Maxon and all the guys over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement, just reach out to them at their website, askbeaconnow.com. 58 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, state lawmakers getting a better understanding of the bonding and monitoring process before they write legislation to make sure what happened to Lauren Johansson never happens again. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik says the Mississippi woman was murdered, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend, Bryson Rivers, after he was able to cross state lines after release from the Davidson County Jail.
State senators took the first step in creating new laws from Johansson's death. They talked about electronic signatures, streamlining local rules, and separating bonding and monitoring companies. That was an issue senators believe led to Johansson's murder.
Brooks Bonding and Freedom Monitoring were responsible for bonding out and monitoring Rivers. A judge determined there were 9 mistakes made. We have breaking news regarding Pentagon secrets leaker Jack Teixeira. The Massachusetts Air National Guard member has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. The Pentagon saying Teixeira's action was a deliberate criminal act when he posted photos of sensitive U.S. military documents on the social media platform Discord without authorization last year. Trump transition update. 2 more appointments confirmed by President-elect Trump today on Truth Social. Former Governor Mike Huckabee as ambassador to Israel and Florida Congressman Mike Waltz as national security advisor. House Speaker Mike Johnson says he's optimistic the House will stay in Republican control despite Trump's appointment of some House members.
President Trump fully understands and appreciates the math here, and it's just a numbers game. We believe we're going to have a larger majority than we had last time. It's too early to handicap it, but we're optimistic about that.
Now, they're within striking distance. They would need to pick up just 2 more races in order to actually get the 218 they need by some last counts. The U.S. Senate leadership vote is tomorrow. Tennessee U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn asked this morning on Newsmax who she would like to see fill the role of majority leader, but said she's spoken to Rick Scott, but stopped short of endorsing him.
What we need is a leader who is going to say the imperative is to get Donald Trump's agenda across the finish line and signed into law.
Well, Senator Haggerty made it clear to Dan Mandis on WTN's Nashville's Morning News. That's Rick Scott, according to him.
I called John Thune and John Cornyn before I called Rick Scott to tell them both that I was going to be endorsing Rick Scott. They weren't surprised.
So members of the House are going to meet tomorrow morning to elect leaders, and it's expected that President-elect Donald Trump might be popping in. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we've got the usual slowdown, brake tapping out of the downtown area. East and westbound 40, especially eastbound, is heavy between 24 and West End. Then we got northbound 65 to go east on 440, northbound 65 to go east on 40 once you get downtown, and then that west loop is backed up to 24. Looking at a problem now here reported by TDOT, State Route 386. Apparently got some police activity up that way. The eastbound exit ramp and the right shoulder are blocked. That is from 65 to go over to Hendersonville. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 on Tuesday, the 12th day of November. I am your friend and radio buddy. I still am. And I do have a new nickname around the building, though. They look at me and say, Short Timer.
It's the only time you've ever been called short.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, you know how it is. Well, I used to say that to people all the time. When they turned in their notice or they were leaving to take news. Hey, Short Timer, what you doing?
Yeah.
And and it's easy to get when you're walking out the door here on a certain date, which I say walking out the door at least from full-time broadcasting on the 24th of December. It can easily adapt the short timer's attitude.
Yeah, kind of like that day before a holiday weekend or something where you just kind of check out.
Yeah,
autopilot.
No, I try never to do that. I try to always bring my A game. But I'm not gonna pull back from doing the best job that I can for you until I'm not doing it anymore. But again, by the way, can you get Ken Weaver? He's back there now. Can you get him on the horn? See if you can see. Pay attention, Ken. Hello, Ken. Earth to Ken.
He's coming.
Is he coming?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
I think he was having a snack or something.
Oh, he was eating. But then
there he is.
Get the crumbs out of your beard now.
There's no crumbs in an apple. Hey, you boys talking about me?
No, I was going to ask you a question. I understand Channel 4 has got this big scoop this afternoon about this David Garrett, David Garrett, I think it was.
Yeah, that his house was raided.
Due
to an open investigation.
How about that? Does anybody remember that I reported this about a month and a half ago?
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
And then Channel 5 ran this interview with some tape, a sound tape of the interview that detectives did with the parents of the Covenant shooter.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, they ran it, I think, last week.
Yeah.
We ran every bit of that and more 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, it says, great work there. You're only about 5-6 months late. Where were you? It was here. I don't know. It must be sweeps week or something. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, because, there's nothing. I didn't see anything come out that we didn't already know.
No, we have already reported that because we've been on the cutting edge of the Covenant shooting story and the investigation into what we know, and we ran long. I can still pull them up. I got them in my archive here. Long sound bites with the father and mother of the shooter. About 4 months. That was recorded about 4 months after the shooting, and we ran that and we talked about it extensively. And then as for this thing with the former, what's his name? He's a former investigator for what is essentially the Internal Affairs Division.
Mm-hmm.
And he left, and he has been on our show as a guest. And I think about a month and a half ago, I'd have to look up the exact date, but about a month and a half ago, I reported that his house had been raided by the TBI.
Yeah.
So, I'm glad that Channel 4 and Channel 5 are catching up.
We're nowhere nearer.
Is that known as in the business? I was told one time, I was asked to do a story that had already been done by others, and I said, hey, but that's like old news. That's happened. It was like a week ago, and everybody else had the scoop then, and we're just now catching up. And they said it's called a rescoop, Brian. It's called a rescoop.
That's a rescoop.
It's a rescoop. So no, and the thing is, I will say this: I have a lot of respect for people that do television news. I did it as a career for many, many years, and it's not easy work. And you are, as a television news person, you are really at the behest of the assignment editor. If an assignment editor thinks it's news, then it's news, and no matter what you think, it doesn't matter. They're the ones who make these calls. If everybody want to know, about how things are done in the newsroom, the single most influential person about what kind of stories are covered is this person called the assignment manager. And they run the assignment desk. And they make a decision in these editorial meetings about, you go cover this story and you go and here's the resources you have to do that, and here's the resources you do that. And they don't pay attention whit to what we do over here on Super Talk.
And usually their veins are popping out.
Yeah. Yes.
Their sleeves are rolled up, their veins are popping out, and they talk loud.
Very fast and loud. And I'll tell you, in the days when I first started getting into television, they were all chain smokers in the newsroom.
In the newsroom.
Yeah. You know, when I went to work at Channel 5 in Washington, I had worked in, smaller newsrooms around the country, worked in Amarillo, worked in Mobile, and then I go to Washington, D.C. It's my first big job at a major market, and it was very different. The news director had her office, and she was constantly smoking. And people smoked in the newsroom, and they sort of divided the newsroom into two parts.
Yeah.
The smoking and non-smoking section, but it didn't matter because you walked into that newsroom, it smelled like cigarettes.
Yeah.
They didn't get rid of that for a long time. And I would go out with these union crews, right, at lunch, and we would take a lunch break, and I was like, man, my eyes got as big as saucers as we sat down, and these guys, cranked back a couple of beers over lunch. Yeah, and then they would go out, and shoot all day and drive around town in the company cars, and I just was, wow. It was a different time. And if you wanted to edit your story, you couldn't edit your story because it had union editors.
Right.
And so you came in, you wrote your story, you gave, instructions, and they didn't mind if you came back to the edit room and was there to sort of, make a suggestion or something, or if you wanted to, just sit back and watch the thing come together and be there to answer any questions if they had any. They didn't mind that so much, but there was a refrigerator in the back, and, and so when you were done writing your story and it had been approved and you cut your track, you could go back to the refrigerator, put a couple of bucks in a jar, and grab a cold beer in the newsroom.
Did you ever have an issue with how they wanted to edit your work?
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you would say, no, I wouldn't do that. They were actually, I would think, they're pretty good guys.
Yeah.
But here was the thing: they went out for a lick. They had a dinner because the union said they got a dinner.
Right.
And so, and you didn't definitely want to have to pay the union penalty for missing a meal. So you made sure those guys went to dinner. So, what you always wanted to do is get your track in early and have the stories edited before the editors went to dinner. Because when they came back from dinner, they were a lot looser than when they went out to dinner, if you get my drift. Yeah. And so, anything edited after dinner, it was a crapshoot. You didn't know whether it was going to be any good or not.
I had a couple of news directors who I wished would have smoked. They probably would have been a lot easier to deal with.
The one woman that in D.C., her name was Betty Endicott. And she was in D.C., she was a legend. She was one of the first female news directors in the country. Mm-hmm. She was, like in the old movies where they talk about she was a great broad. Yeah, she was that kind of woman. Right. She was just, she was like, she smoked and she drank and she had a sort of an inappropriate sense of humor at times. Yeah. And I mean to tell you, I'd be walking through the newsroom, and we were in this big underground complex. And it was, you had to go downstairs in the building. It was at one time a parking garage.
Right.
And that's where our newsroom was. And you'd be just walking along, and you'd hear somebody say, "Wilson!" And you'd look up, and bap! You get hit right in the face with this Nerf football that she had hurled across the newsroom. Just right across the, and then you had to throw it back. So you grab it and you throw it back.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't put any arc on it because you're only talking about a ceiling that's maybe 8 feet tall.
Right.
So, you had to be a hard, fast, bullet pass, shuttle pass. And, you never knew when that was going to happen. And so it was a very different environment. Then Fox sort of, their corporate style sort of then seeped down into our little newsroom. We had just been bought by Fox. And when they started finding out about the refrigerator, that went away in like one day.
Oh.
And then they were a lot more strict about liquid lunches and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And smoking became verboten in the newsroom. And so, for me as an adamant non-smoker, I love that part of it. But I mean, it really was just a wild and woolly place.
Oh yeah,
I
lots of yelling and shouting too.
Yeah,
at least in my experience.
Well, and especially if you were on deadline and it wasn't going well.
Yeah, and I was just radio. I wasn't even TV.
Yeah, TV is hard because, radio, you can pretty much come in and do your story and crank it out, and you don't really need other people to help you.
Right.
Radio, but TV is you got to have an audio guy. You got to have a cameraman. You got to have an editor. You got to have that's who edits the tape. Then you have to have an editor who edits the copy. And it's much more of a group process, and
right.
So and when you are on a deadline, it was a mortal sin to miss your slot.
Yeah.
In other words, if you were like in the 10 o'clock newscast, if you were 10A, that you were the lead story in the lead block, then you damn well better be there.
Right.
And if you missed it, there had to be a pretty good reason why. Or there would be repercussions. And so, the pressure was always on. Don't miss your slot. Don't miss your slot. Don't miss your slot. And it would, I mean, you really got into it. You would really fight hard. And so, sometimes to get it across the goal line and to not miss your slot, you had to bruise some egos and hack off some people.
Yeah.
But you got it done. And, and everybody looked around if you were having a bad day, and they sort of realized back in those days, yeah, tomorrow it'll be me, so it's okay. And that's the way it was. If somebody lost their stuff in the middle of the newsroom because it was just one of those days where you were doing everything you could to get it across the goal line and the pressure was on, they would all look at you and say, yeah, that'll be me tomorrow. I'll be that guy tomorrow. So it was always sort of smiled at, and everybody understood that mentality went away as well.
Yeah.
As the HR department got its claws into the news business.
Yeah, HR started creeping into things in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yep.
And it's never been the same since.
Ruined all the fun.
Yeah, that's... well, anyway, why did I get off on that story? I don't know. Maybe because I'm going to geese from now and then between the December 24th. Do you mind if I geese?
Short timer.
I don't mind at all, Brother Brian.
Do you mind if I geese occasionally between now and then? Okay.
Just let me finish my apple first.
Yeah, okay. It is 20 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Restoration Wellness is a leader in advanced therapy treatment for arthrosis and chronic pain in Middle Tennessee. Chronic pain affects 20% of all adults in the U.S. Chronic pain increases with age, affecting nearly 50% of all adults over the age of 65. Don't let your chronic pain control your life. Restoration Wellness has the newest technology in joint injections, a minimally invasive treatment to relieve pain without needing surgery. Restoration Wellness joint injection treatments can help relieve anything from shoulder pain, hip pain, knee pain, and everything in between. They put together personalized treatment plans specific to your needs within office consultation. Let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals this year. Just call them at 615-470-8124 or visit them at their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com, to book a consultation today. You're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, who'll take great care of you like you're part of the family. Say goodbye to your chronic pain and get a new lease on life. Do not let chronic pain control your life.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
We are monitoring a situation in Louisville after an explosion at a business. A shelter-in-place order is in effect. And here in Tennessee, state lawmakers are working to change bonding laws after a murder this summer. All this and more coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock. Let's just talk about the politics of filling up your cabinet. There are a lot of things going on. Let me just start with this. This is scoop, folks. You know, the folks at Channel 4 and Channel 5 should pay attention right now because I'm going to give them some scoop that they can report 4 months from now. So here's the thing. We got Haggerty, right? Senator Haggerty, Bill Haggerty, I think he was on with Dan Madness this morning. A lot of people have talked about him as being a part of the Trump cabinet. You know, he was the former ambassador to Japan. My sense of it, the times that he's been on this program, my sense of it is he is disillusioned with what it is to be a member of the United States Senate. You know, did you ever get that impression from listening to him, Chris, that, you know, he's like, you know, I can't believe how things work around here. He's just a little disgusted with the whole thing.
Yeah, I did.
And I think that he would like to be a part of the administration. The question is, you know, what role might he take in that? And I don't know. Some people have thought he might make a good Secretary of State, but it looks like that's going to Marco Rubio, although no announcement has been officially made. But he was at least considered for that, I think. Some people say he might make a good Secretary of the Treasury, so we'll find out about that. But one way or the other, if he ends up being a part of the Trump administration, then the question is, well, what happens? What happens? Who fills his slot? I see here over at Fox 17, they are saying that Governor Lee would turn to a list of 3 people here, and I'll just repeat their names as they were told. Representative Tim Burchett, Tennessee House Speaker Cameron Sexton, or Tennessee State Senator Jack Johnson, a good friend of this program. Well, actually, Cameron Sexton and Burchett's been on the program as well. So who knows how that all might work out. I'll throw out another name into the pot, and it is Glenn Jacobs, who, you know, is the mayor of Knoxville. Kane, as you know him in the wrestling world. There's some speculation that he might be considered. I think he has a following, and what really is sort of driving who it might be. It is, believe it or not, Marsha. Now, I'm going to tell you something that that I have heard, and I haven't asked her about it, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think that Marsha would like to replace Bill Lee when his term is up. I think Marsha would like to be the governor. I think Bill Lee would like that. And I think that would be his choice, of sort of the person, you know, he would pick to be the person. And so by looking at all of the other competitors, and finding the strongest one and giving them an appointment to the United States Senate, you clear the deck for Marsha. So, I mean, I don't have any insight into the thinking of Governor Bill Lee, but I wouldn't be shocked, stunned, or amazed that one of these names comes up, because I think most of these people have been talked about as people who would like to be the next governor. And so, what I'm hearing, some of the buzz I'm hearing, is that and I have more than one source on this, is that whatever the governor does, it will be done with a mind of keeping the decks clear for that upcoming governor's race. Whoever the strongest of those candidates are, who are up to taking up the task, then he would give it to that person in order that Marsha might have an easier run for the office of governor if she decides to make that decision and one hears that she wants it. So how's that for inside scoop?
It's pretty strong stuff.
That's pretty good inside scoop right there, Brother Brian.
Well, again, a lot of this is putting some pieces together of what you know about the desires, and a lot of it is, I'll be honest with you, buzz. It's not locked down. But one way or the other, if Haggerty doesn't leave the Senate, then that's it. It doesn't none of that evolves. But if he leaves and goes and serves in the Trump, then there's going to be some bouncing around in Tennessee politics to fill that slot, and you need to know where all the pieces are. So take that for what it's worth. It is let's put informed speculation. It's not complete speculation. It's informed speculation.
All right.
This is the way I'm going to be all the way till the 24th. Get ready for
Print it, boys.
Yeah,
Print it.
Print it. That's right. Border Czar Tom Homan. I'm going to hold off. I'm going to go through all of these cabinet positions. I've been putting it off. I'll do it in just a moment. Right now, it's time for the news at 4:30.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now, we're monitoring the situation in Louisville after crews responded to an explosion at a workplace today around 3 o'clock Louisville time. That's 2 o'clock our time. 11 employees, according to one report, have been hospitalized. 2 of those had to be rescued. This was from the Givaudan Sense Color in Clifton. Givaudan Sense Color, also known as the former DDW plant there in Louisville. The former Massachusetts Air National Guard member who leaked classified information to his buddies in an online video game forum has been sentenced to 15 years behind bars. Jack Teixeira pleaded guilty in March to 6 counts of transmitting national defense information and violating the Espionage Act. Teixeira held the rank of Airman First Class, and in his job as an IT worker at the Air National Guard, he held a top-secret security clearance. Money news, here's Michelle Franzen.
After achieving record highs following the election, stocks were down Tuesday, with the Dow closing down 374 points, the S&P dropping 15, and the Nasdaq falling 17 points. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit in a Maryland federal court Tuesday seeking to block United Health Group's $3.3 billion purchase of Emeritus. The suit citing concerns that the deal could hinder access to quality home health care. British oil company Shell with a major legal win after a Dutch appeals court overturned a 2021 landmark case brought by climate activists that had found the company partially responsible for climate change. Driverless taxi company Waymo announced they're beginning to roll out a limited service for select passengers in Los Angeles. The service, which has been up and running in San Francisco and Phoenix, will allow LA-based passengers chosen from a wait list to begin requesting rides.
That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we got 2 lanes blocked. The right 2 lanes blocked, 24 downtown westbound after the 40 split. Thompson Lane east of Dobbs Avenue got a crash there. And looking at the stop and go, it is especially heavy if you are on the west loop to get north. Northbound 65 to get to the south loop, northbound 65 then to go east on 440. And, of course, you're brake tapping 24 eastbound all the way to Bell Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, we wish it were true, but pills or spinal creams cannot take the pain off your nerves and your back. If you have back pain, it's very likely because there's pressure on your nerves, and pills or creams won't do it. You really have, in most cases, only 2 choices: surgery or non-invasive spinal decompression. I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Their state-of-the-art facilities offer high-tech equipment and the latest non-surgical procedures. And because getting better is important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT knee machine, which is like spinal decompression, but it's aimed at the knee. If you have problems with the knee, this could help maybe. So give them a check out on that. Now, if you're a new patient, you come in, you get an exam, a consultation, and your first treatment, and all of that only costs you $23. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
38 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock. Just to clear up one thing, a bit more precise language is what I probably should have used. When talking about Glenn Jacobs, he is the mayor of Knox County. There's a Democrat in charge. See, it's not like Davidson County where the mayor and Davidson County and Nashville are one and the same. You know how that goes? It's not that way in Knoxville. Knox County has a Democrat mayor. Glenn Jacobs is the mayor of Knox County. Yeah. And so there. So that just make sure you knew what I meant, but I should have been more precise. All right, let's talk a little bit about border czar Tom Homan, former head of immigration enforcement. You know, the thing I said this earlier, and I think it's really important to understand. There are a couple of positions that the president can appoint that don't have to go to the Senate for confirmation. And one of them is anybody who's a czar. I don't think they have to go for confirmation. Basically, you're sort of a special assistant to the president with an area of responsibility. You're his problem solver in that particular area. He's giving you wide-ranging authority to go out and fix the problem. And believe me, Tom Homan can fix the problem. I mean, he is loaded for bear and ready to go. Great announcement there. Former ICE director, and he's absolutely in sync with Trump on trying to resolve the immigration problem and begin the process of deportation of people who are in this country illegally. And they're going to have a priority. They're going to go after the criminals first, national security concerns first, and then they're going to start working down the list. And look, you broke the law when you came here, and he's going to take every step out of the way. And some people have been granted amnesty by the Biden administration. So the way that has to be resolved is you got to take them to before a judge and have that resolved. So the problem is there's so many people out there that some of these people don't have court dates for 6 or 7 years. Insane. But listen, if anybody can get to the bottom of this, it's Tom Homan. Marco Rubio is expected. He has not been named as yet, but he's expected. I see all these stories. Marco Rubio will be the Secretary of State. Here's a story from the Wall Street Journal, and they put it this way. Trump could change his mind on the Rubio move as he remains fond of others lobbying for the Secretary of State role. But people familiar with the Rubio decision said that Trump feels good about going with him. Trump had considered him for the vice presidential slot before settling on Ohio's Senator J.D. Vance. Spokespeople for the Trump transition, Rubio didn't immediately respond to requests. And they say that's this game. Your name is floated. And how do people, when they don't make the announcement right away, that's letting what you call a trial balloon. Let that trial balloon float and see if anybody takes shots at it. See how that goes. I think Rubio is a great choice. I like him a lot. He's a really, really smart guy. And he has, in his time in the Senate, he has become a real foreign policy expert. He learns quickly. He is an incredibly powerful spokesman for whatever he wants to talk about. And if he wants to go out there and represent on the world stage Donald Trump, I think you could do a lot worse. I don't think, I think he's really a good one. We'll see what happens there. Then they got Tim Walz, member of Congress, as a national security advisor. I believe I'm correct in saying national security advisor is not a confirmable position, so he didn't have to worry about confirmation there, but I don't know if there'd be any problem with him. And then there's Elise Stefanik, Representative Elise Stefanik, Republican, New York, as a U.S. ambassador for the United Nations. Now, I wasn't crazy about them taking Waltz and Stefanik out of the House of Representatives, given that the margins in the House are so thin. I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out over there in the House, but I mean, it looks like we're going to have the majority. But if you take a couple of Republicans out of the House, then you're leaving it up to governors to replace them. Waltz is from Florida, no problem there with Rick Scott. who will appoint someone as a Republican. But, I mean, Elise Stefanik is a Republican, and she's from New York, and, you know, the governor is Kathy Hochul. She's a Democrat. But I will say this, that it made me feel a little bit better. I was not familiar with their actual districts, but when I read up on it, it said, anyway, the long story of it is it looks like those are reliably red districts. So the ultimate thing would be that they would probably be replaced by Republicans. But I sort of look at this as, you know, one in the hand is worth two in the bush. You know what I'm saying? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And I really would really prefer that you go elsewhere, given how thin the margins are in the House of Representatives. I mean, are you cutting off your nose to spite your face? Man, I'm just full of these old metaphors today. Yeah, I mean, just think about it. What's more important, you know, Elise Stefanik being the UN ambassador? I think she'll do a great job. I like her a lot. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with her as far as doing the job. But, I mean, look, what is more important than that is getting your agenda through the House and the Senate. And with the thin margins, I don't know. I think I just would have gone somewhere else. But, you know, it's his call to make. And so there's that. Mike Huckabee, U.S. ambassador to Israel, former Arkansas governor, presidential candidate. Trump likes both Huckabee and his daughter, Sarah, who's the governor of Arkansas now. And what you may not know is that, and I know Mike a little, Mike does several trips to Israel every year and takes people there on tours, etc. And they go to the Holy Land and they look at all of the holy sites, and he teaches them about the history. So it's an interesting choice. I know that there is Mike Huckabee has a lot of love in his heart for the nation of Israel. And so he has been nominated as the ambassador to Israel there. Kristi Noem to be the Homeland Security Secretary. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like Noem, I've always thought she was a good solid Republican. You know, she could have been the running mate if it hadn't been for those unfortunate dog stories. You know, but now, you know, can a Homeland Security Secretary who has a history of killing dogs, can she become the Homeland Security Secretary? I think so. No, I've always thought that story was overblown. You know, I'm just teasing. Yeah, Kristi Noem, there you go. And then just a couple of other little things. Back to Rubio. Listen to this. Fox News host, Senator John Fetterman. Let me mark that up. Senator John Fetterman, Democrat, Pennsylvania, has called Senator Marco Rubio, who President-elect Donald Trump is expected to tap as Secretary of State, a strong choice. Fetterman has he surprised you of late? I mean, he surprised the crap out of me from time to time. I mean, we looked at him, we thought he was this uber liberal guy who couldn't put a sentence together. And everybody kept telling us, well, you know, his speech issue and his ability to understand words and comprehend them and respond will get better with time, and it has. I mean, the last time I talked to him, does he still make mistakes? Yeah. But it's a lot better than it was when he first went into the Senate. And he's turned out to be not as liberal as I might have expected him to be. And I still think, he ought not wear sweat clothes into the United States Senate. But one way or the other, that's a minor point. He has sort of impressed me as someone who is more pragmatic than I might have expected. But he says Rubio's a strong choice. But he said, surprisingly, the other team pick will have political differences than my own. That being, my colleague, Senator Marco Rubio, is a strong choice, and I look forward to voting for his confirmation. Of course, it hasn't been absolutely affirmed that he's going to be the guy, but I think it's obviously, it seems like he's the leading candidate, let's put it that way. Confirmation process can be a real bear. And, it is true that in the Senate, any one senator can sort of bog things down. So that's why I found it interesting to hear people talk about that the likelihood of recess appointments. And all three of the people who might become majority leader, John Thune, John Cornyn, or Rick Scott, have been on record saying that they're absolutely okay with the concept of a recess appointment. The Constitution allows for it, and I think they would rather do things by regular order. But if it becomes clear that Democrats are going to cause a lot of problems about these people, and try to slow up the confirmation process, then there will be a recess, and during the recess, those appointments will be made, and then they will stick. So I don't know. It seemed pretty interesting to watch all that, the gamesmanship. My sense of it is, let me think about this for a moment. Yeah, I think my sense of it is that the regular order will not be as contentious as it might have been if this had been a closer election. I mean, Democrats are chastised right now. They've been brushed back by the American people. And the one thing that the American people will not stand for is obstructionism. And if it's perceived that that's what's going on, they will let their feelings be known. And I just don't think that a lot of people want to do that. Most even in most contentious elections that I've covered, even during Bush v. Gore, when all that was going on, most members of the Senate believe that if the president puts forward a decent nominee who doesn't have a lot of issues, then the president should have the people in his cabinet that he desires. But if it's going to be games, then it seems like all three of the people who might become the majority leader of the Senate are prepared to just go ahead and do it during a recess appointment, and then it's done. 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Kentucky explosion, and President-elect Trump has just confirmed 3 more appointments today for a total of 5. I'll have them for you coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, I was going to say one of them, but I'll let you handle it. You go right ahead there, Ken, because I don't want to step on your newscast. That'd be rude, wouldn't it?
Thank you, Brother Brian. We'll get that TSL.
That's right. We'll get that going really, really quick. Coming up in just a moment. Again, we'll take a look at where the things have landed, and where we are as Republicans control virtually everything now, the way it looks, and we'll give you the complete countdown. Coming up right after the news with Ken Weaver at 57 minutes past the hour. Hey, what was it like the last time you were at an auto repair shop? Was it smelly, greasy? Were there old rags lying around and a filthy countertop you didn't dare want to touch? I'll tell you another thing that stinks is repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. Hey, if that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, I want you to think about going to Eurofix. They take the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment, and you'll never pay dealer prices. Eurofix is now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com, and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. We're following reporting on a large explosion at a facility in Louisville. At least 11 people injured. No deaths reported, even though part of this building collapsed. A shelter in place is still in effect for about a quarter mile. Evacuations, however, have been lifted. A former Massachusetts Air National Guard member who leaked classified information to his buddies in an online video game forum has been sentenced to 15 years behind bars. Jack Teixeira pleading guilty in March. Acting U.S. Attorney Joshua Levy for the District of Massachusetts said the sentencing sends a strong message to would-be leakers of classified information.
This conduct caused immediate operational damage and long-term enduring damage to our relationships with our allies, to our ability to gather information by revealing intelligence gathering methods, and through other consequences.
One of the documents he was accused of sharing on the social media platform Discord related to the U.S. military's assistance for Ukraine. President-elect Trump just confirmed 3 more appointments. He writes on Truth Social, I am pleased to announce that former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe will serve as the Director of the CIA. He says he is pleased to announce that William Joseph McGinley will serve as White House counsel. And President-elect Trump says he's pleased to announce he's appointed Stephen C. Witkoff to be special envoy to the Middle East. He says Steve will be an unrelenting voice for peace, all caps, and make us all proud. By the way, today's the deadline President Biden set for Israel to increase humanitarian aid into Gaza or risk losing U.S. military weapons shipments. Aid groups say humanitarian conditions are the worst they've been since the start of the war in Gaza last year, but not State Department Principal Deputy Spokesperson Vedant Patel.
We've seen some additional crossings. We've seen some additional routes within Gaza. We've seen the adjustments made to the Jordan corridor. We intend to continue to work at this and see more.
Israeli President Isaac Herzog was at the White House today and told President Biden a major objective of the remainder of his term in office should be dealing with Iran and its proxies in the region. Meanwhile, there was a big round of applause for Vice President Kamala Harris from White House staffers today.
As Vice President Harris's SUV pulled up to the West Wing entrance Tuesday, the cheers began from hundreds of administration staffers. Harris stepped out of her SUV to chants of MVP for Madam Vice President. She basked in the attention for a quick second before telling the staffers they do the best work anybody can do, dedicating themselves to the people through public service.
Thank you all very much.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. The brake tapping is really going on northbound 65 to go eastbound on 440, then northbound 65 to get to downtown, the South Loop. Eastbound 24, the usual brake tapping all the way over to Bell Road, and then the West Loop, well, you got brake tapping there, too, to get up to 24. We've got a crash reported in Antioch. That's going to be 24 eastbound right before Harding Place, reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good afternoon. Let's call it evening. I mean, we might as well. It's getting that time of day. 5:07 on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson on this Tuesday, November 12th, bringing you news and information all the way until 7 o'clock. Then we headed over to Mark Levin. We got a lot of ground to cover here. I mean, things are happening. I mean, this is, there's the run up to the election, and then, then we find out what the election results are. And then there's the whole nother phase, and that is as you begin the transition. The transition all the way to January 20th, very important time. A lot of major decisions being made by Donald Trump. And I got to tell you, I haven't heard one yet that I thought was a clinker. I think they're all really good appointments. And somebody said that the one thing that they have in common is loyalty to Donald Trump, which, that's what you want, somebody who's going to go out there and represent you with your vision and make sure. So, look, he came in the first time, and it's like any person coming into a new job. You don't know what you don't know, and it took him a while to sort of get the lay of the ground, I think, and how things are. But I think he's learned from those lessons, and he's thought a lot about what he would do if he got a second chance at this office. So I expect that the decisions are going to be pretty smart. And I haven't heard of one yet, quite frankly, that I think is going to cause a problem. If there is going to be a confirmation process, I like it all. So let's just recap where we are. I mean, it's really amazing. Think about this. Think about this. This is exciting. Republicans control the White House. We have a Republican president. We have Republicans controlling the Senate. Even though AP hasn't called it, others have. It looks like Republicans are going to control the House of Representatives. I'll go into that a little bit later. That's going to happen. We have a Supreme Court that right now, is a 6-3 conservative majority. And you know what? Think about this for a moment. I'm not wishing ill on anybody, but I mean, some of those Democrat members of the Supreme Court are up there. Just looking at the actuarial tables tells you that there is a chance Donald Trump will have at least one more appointment. He will also have the opportunity, by the way, to if those justices on the Republican side, the conservative side, decide to take advantage of this window. Clarence Thomas comes to mind. He's getting up there. Sam Alito says, I think I read today, he said he's not going anywhere for a while. But you could tender your resignation and know that you're going to get a conservative replacement, right? The Democrats have got to hang in there now. I mean, a lot of people thought Sonia Sotomayor should turn in her notice back when, there was still time to do something about it. And she didn't. So there's no time left now. I suppose you could ram one through, but I don't think that would be the proper thing to do. It'd be a hue and cry. So what I'm getting at really is, could be a 7-2. It could be a 7-2 conservative court. And then let's just look at governors. So the majority of the states in this country are governed by Republican governors. So what does all that mean? I'm just going to say this in the nicest way that I can. That is, if we screw this up this time, there's nobody to point at. You can't blame the other side. We've got it. We're going to have control of these bodies. Now, the Senate still has the filibuster, and that can slow things down, but one way or the other, we have control. There should be no reason why, ultimately, we can't set things right and do things in a proper way. And if it all goes to hell in a handbasket, there is nobody to blame but Republicans. So let's get this thing done, right? I think that'd be good. Democrats on the other side, they are melting down. Bernie Sanders, he says Democrats are not working for the working class people.
Bottom line, if you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think the overwhelming answer is no.
No, he says, sounding a little bit like the aardvark from cartoons. There he is, Bernie Sanders. No, Democrats are not working for working class people. That's the way it's perceived. And there's a lot of, to tell you, high-level finger-pointing. Who's to blame for this thing that happened to Democrats? How did we lose this thing? And boy, they're pointing fingers in all directions.
Had the president gotten out sooner, there may have been other candidates in the race. Kamala, I think, still would have won, but she may have been stronger having taken her case to the public sooner.
Well, I don't know, Nance. I don't know if that's going to be. I mean, she still was not a very good candidate. I think the problem with her was that she never wanted to answer any questions. She never wanted to tell the American people who she really was. It was about transparency, and she had none. Every time you ask her a hard question, you got a mealy mouth, word salad answer. I think that's what sunk her. She wasn't a very good candidate, just like Hillary wasn't a very good candidate.
I think people never got to know Kamala Harris during the time she was in this campaign.
If the goal is to win elections on Twitter, then you should embrace movements like defund the police. But if the goal is to win elections in the real world, where it matters, then you have to appeal to working class people of color.
The party itself has increasingly become a smarty pants, suburban, college-educated party.
That's David Axelrod, and he's right. I mean, there was a time and a place where Democrats were the working class party. Isn't it interesting that now it's become the party of white elites in many ways? And the intelligentsia who look down their nose. We know better than you. Oh, you blue-collar worker, don't worry. This is going to be good for you because we know better. And it really has become the party of elitism. And the Republican Party, which once was thought to be, it's the rich and it's the party of the rich and the powerful, has really become now the party of the working class man. What a change, a wholesale change has happened in politics. There hasn't been something like this that has happened, I would say, since the Reagan Revolution. And that's the only thing in my modern history that I can think of that even comes close.
A college-educated party.
I take issue sometimes with people saying, oh, the quote-unquote left is the reason why this is happening. The ultimate problem is our ability to clearly and forthrightly advocate for an agenda that clearly champions the working class.
And that's AOC, if you couldn't tell. And, you know what? She's wrong. They were bad policies. He said the problem wasn't our policies. It was our inability to explain them. Yeah, you hold on to that because that wasn't the problem. The problem was that, you were trying to shove stuff down people's throats that the people just weren't going to have. And I'll tell you, to me, one of the biggest issues in this whole thing, and I think I called it, was this whole idea of men playing on women's teams. I mean, it was just that sort of was like the poster child of everything that the crazy left wanted to do. They wanted men out there on women's soccer fields where Americans were going on Saturday to see their daughters play, like I did when I was a soccer dad. And the idea it flies against everything that seems to be right and fair. And yet that's the kind of stuff that they were coming up with, the kind of stuff that AOC thought was just fine. No, it wasn't fine. They were stupid ideas, and finally Americans said, we've had enough.
Joe Biden's decision to run for president again was a catastrophic mistake.
But we can all unite in knowing that Joe Biden would have lost and deserves a lot of blame for the situation that we're in.
So everybody's pointing fingers at Biden. Biden's pointing fingers at everybody. Biden's like, hey, I beat the guy once. You couldn't beat him. But, I mean, everybody's got a reason why it's not their fault. There's going to be a big meeting tomorrow at the White House. You got President Trump meeting with Joe Biden. Jill is not coming. She's apparently decided that, I don't know, the word is that there's bad blood between her. I'm sorry, Jill will be there. Melania won't be there. Melania's not coming. The word is that there's bad blood between Melania and Jill. So she's been jilted. You like that? I stole it.
It's pretty clever.
Yeah, no, I stole it. I can't claim that's a too good a line for me. But that's going to happen. Peter Doocy at the White House was talking to Karine Jean-Pierre about this and other things.
President Biden says that he's not going to pardon his son, Hunter. Is he going to ask Donald Trump to do that?
I don't have anything else to share about that. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole on this. I've been very clear. The president's been very clear when we've been asked this question.
And we know that at some point during the last Trump transition, then President Obama warned Trump that the biggest threat to the U.S. at the time was North Korea. Is President Biden going to run through what he sees the biggest threats to the country are with Donald Trump?
I am not going to get into a specific agenda of what they're going to discuss. And this is very much to the question that I got from MJ. What does the president what's the message he wants to send tomorrow? And it is to the American people. The importance of keeping the norms, the importance of having a transition that is going to be efficient. This is what the American people deserve. And that's the message.
It'll be interesting, though. You know, what will happen is there'll be what they call a spray. You're going to the Oval Office, and they'll be sitting there in front of the fireplace, probably. And, and there's two chairs there, and then the cameras come in, and the reporters come in behind the cameras. And, both men will be sitting there. And there'll be a cacophony of sound, and somebody will ask a question. Biden will have something to say as the sitting president. He probably will lead off the meeting. Be interesting to see what the personal dynamics are between the two. And what Trump has to say is going to be very interesting. Some people said, that, one of the things that's going to be easier this time is he's already been through it once. He knows what the transition is. He knows what it is. He's already had one of those days where he walked into the Oval Office for the first time. That's already happened. And so, he doesn't have to, he's not reinventing the wheel, which really, honestly, a lot of presidents come in and they stumble and they stutter and they mess around and they screw up in some of the early going because they're floundering to figure it out. It's a big dog deal to walk in there and try to take over. The best people that you get are still, many of them have never been there before. So it's going to be a really interesting day to see the interaction between Trump and Biden. I think both men will be probably on their best behavior, and it'll be but the only people who won't be on their best behavior will be the press corps, because they'll be screaming and hollering, and then then they'll chase them out of the room. That's the way it goes. But it'll be a thing to watch. And, look, are there important things to happen? Yeah. Here's one of the things that happens during a transition is that, and some of this stuff may not happen until Trump actually takes the oath of office. One of the things that I've always noticed is there is a time where every incoming president gets the briefing, the big briefing. The big intelligence briefing. I remember watching Clinton after he got his big briefing about where things were. And he walked out of that meeting and he just looked like he was stunned. That's where they tell you all the secret stuff. The stuff that, that is, only a president can know about. And they lay it all out for you. And so I don't know if that'll happen with Trump, since he's already been through the security clearance, where it'll happen before or after he takes office. But it'll be interesting to see whether he comes away, like, I learned a few things I didn't know were going on, because there are things that go on that they don't share with even someone of his high-level security clearance. 21 past the hour now, 5 o'clock on Super Talk. Say, are the relatives coming to your house for Thanksgiving? Let Busy Bee help by ensuring that your home is in-law relative ready. Busy Bee has a limited number of SEER 1 1/2 to 3 ton split heat pumps for residential unit replacements only at $69.95. That's $6,995. Includes labor, equipment, material, and warranty. The system offers a great balance of energy efficiency, performance, and year-round comfort for residential unit replacements. $750 off of upright tanked water heaters with circulation kit, or a free package upgrade of air duct cleaning. You buy one level and you get the next grade level for free. For example, you buy the middle tier package, they automatically upgrade you to the premium air duct cleaning package. Lastly, give a free Beehive membership to the in-laws. You must currently have a Beehive membership to qualify for the additional free Beehive membership for your in-laws. Busy Bee is bringing families together for satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 775-7833 or busybeehvac.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
We'll have a report from the scene of a massive explosion in Kentucky. Trump transitioned, the president-elect just confirming 3 more appointments to his cabinet for a total of 5 today. And a study claims rent is going down in Nashville. Coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Border Patrol. Apparently, the word coming back from the Daily Wire is that Border Patrol morale is through the roof now. Border Patrol agents are now finally expecting that they're going to be able to do their job. What a concept that is, huh? There are a lot of agents that originally said that they would retire if President Trump did not win. And now those same agents are saying they're going to hold back on their retirement because they want to serve under this administration again, because they know exactly how it was during the first administration, and they know this one is going to be better. That is according to the National Border Patrol Council President, Paul Perez. So, you can only imagine how great they feel. And, man, I'm telling you, I am on fire. I love Tom Homan, the person who's been appointed border czar. As a czar, he doesn't have to go through confirmation hearings. He's like a special assistant to the president. He's a czar. Just, this is, you say to a czar, you say, go out there and fix this. And, you have my full authority. When a czar speaks on an issue, he speaks with the authority of the president because it's the president who sent him. And he is on fire to get started.
I think that the calling is clear. I got to go back and help because every morning I get up. Every morning I'm pissed off about what this administration did to the most secure border in my lifetime. So I'm going to go back and do what I can to fix it. This is the second time I get out of retirement for this president. And because it matters. And look, I was a Border Patrol agent. I wore that uniform, and I'm proud that I wore that uniform. So, and I was an ICE agent. I was the first ICE director that actually came up through the ranks. So the 20,000 men and women that worked for me, I didn't ask them to do anything. I do myself because I was one of them. So look, I know the border, and I know there's a lot of great patriots. Look, I shut my phone off Friday night because I couldn't handle the phone calls, the texts, and emails from thousands of ICE agents and Border Patrol agents excited about the rumor I'm coming back. But more importantly than that, thousands of retired agents, retired Border Patrol agents, retired military that want to come in and volunteer to help this president secure the border and do the deportation operation. So I've been off the grid for 3 days just because I couldn't handle all the phone calls, and plus all the death threats rolling in. My family's not at home right now because that's starting. But that's something we're going to deal with. They're not going to bully me away. They're not going to shut me up. They're not going to make me go away. This is the biggest national security vulnerability this nation has seen since 9/11. We have to fix it. Public safety threats and national security threats will be the priority because they have to be. They pose the most danger to this country. So we're going to prioritize those groups, those who always have final orders, those that had due process at great taxpayer expense, and the federal judge says you must go home, and they didn't. They became a fugitive. This administration has lost over 300,000 children that were smuggled in this country by criminal cartels they can't find. That's another priority. We need to save these children because some of these children are in forced labor, some of these children are in sex trafficking, some of these children are living a life of hell every day, and we need to save these children and get them back with their families. You have a right to claim asylum. You have a right to see a judge, and we make that happen. But at the end of that due process, if the judge says you must go home, then we have to take them home. And because if we're not, what the hell are we doing? If the judge's order doesn't mean anything, then shut down the immigration court, take the Border Patrol off the border, so there's no consequences violating the laws of this country. We'll give you a fair shake. You get a chance to claim asylum, but due process doesn't mean squat if the final decision of the court isn't carried out. And look, I've seen some of these Democratic governors say they're going to stand in the way. They're going to make it hard for us. Well, a suggestion: if you're not going to help us, get the hell out of the way, but we're going to do it.
That's right. Just get out of the way and let us do our job. I mean, this guy is on fire to get started. And I say, man, I wish you can't get to January 20th fast enough for me. I love this guy. He's going to return things to normal. It's going to be a heavy lift because, I mean, the Democrats and Biden have screwed this up so horribly that it's going to take a while. But we're going to be headed in the right direction instead of the wrong direction going forward. That seems very clear. It's time for the news at 5:30.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in Louisville, officials working to clear the scene of an explosion at a local food coloring plant that injured several people, led to evacuations this afternoon. Gabriel Gonzalez on the scene there with more.
Plenty of firefighters, plenty of police cars still monitoring this situation because of that explosion that sent at least 11 people to the hospital. Right now, we're unsure of their conditions. I spoke to somebody who has a house right across the street. That person said the windows blew out from that explosion.
Trump transition. President-elect Trump just confirmed 3 more appointments for a total of 5 today. They are former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe. Trump wants him as CIA director. Joseph McGinley is White House counsel, whom Trump says helped him against the, quote, weaponization of law enforcement. Stephen C. Witkoff to be special envoy to the Middle East, whom Trump says will be an unrelenting voice for peace, all caps. Former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee is U.S. Ambassador to Israel, and Florida Congressman Mike Waltz is National Security Advisor. He served in the Army Special Forces for 27 years, where Trump says he was deployed multiple times in combat, for which he was awarded 4 Bronze Stars, including 2 with Valor. And a study claims Nashville is experiencing one of the biggest drops in rent prices in the nation. Here's Channel 4's Dryden Quigley.
Nashville is among the major U.S. cities this year with the biggest rent decrease. That's according to a report from Redfin. It's something real estate agent Jake Gomes says started in 2019 when we saw lots of new residents.
Once that started happening, rental prices started climbing very, very quickly. Well, developers and the builders started catching on to that. So then all of that started getting kicked into overdrive.
Now, after a few years of construction, he says the supply is outpacing demand. The median asking rent is $1,526 a month, down 6% from last year.
But rent isn't going down everywhere. In some parts of Middle Tennessee, including East Nashville, it's going up. That's also Springfield, Columbia, and Spring Hill. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, East Loop downtown. We've got 24 westbound. The right shoulder blocked at Chevy Avenue by a crash reported by police. Then in Lebanon, we've got an accident blocking the shoulder I-40 eastbound right before 109. Old Hickory Boulevard just east of Nolensville Pike. Thompson Lane east of Dobbs Avenue. And in Clarksville, we've got a vehicle versus deer at I-24 westbound right before MLK Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, the recent presidential election has most of us wondering how we'll be affected, our money, our investments, or even retirement. Well, you're not alone if you have concerns. There are steps you can take now to be better positioned regardless of what happens. You deserve the confidence to know that no matter what's going on in the economy, you have a plan that helps keep your financial goals in line with your life's priorities. If you're in or nearing retirement, Beacon Capital Management has a free retirement-ready toolkit just for you. You'll get a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. No cost, no obligation, and no pressure. Just call 615-488-9303 to get your free retirement-ready toolkit. The number again, write it down, 615-488-9303.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
There it is. Hey, that music means it's time for the three amigos to gather. Amigo number one in the newsroom is Ken Weaver, who's dancing around with his air horn, his air trumpet. There you go. How you doing, Ken?
I'm doing good, boys. How about you?
And there in the control room pushing all the blinky buttons is it is our amigo number two. He is Chris Weber.
I'm not sure that's how you actually play a trumpet, by the way, Ken. I don't know if you know that or
Well,
not.
yeah, you got to hook.
He's got too many fingers.
Well, you got to hook your left thumb to your right pinky.
No, that's how to swing a golf club.
Yeah.
Well, but then you do your fingers like this.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much.
It's only got, what, 3 valves on it, though.
Yeah,
you got a little bit too much fingers going.
You got too many fingers for the valves.
You got a double trumpet. That's what you got.
That's right. Well, and I am amigo number 3, and the idea here is we bring something interesting to play, and we all talk about it, and sometimes we never get that far. Sometimes we get diverted.
Yeah.
Sometimes the squirrel. What?
Huh?
Oh,
what's that?
Yep. So there. So we'll. I got an idea. Let me start with this one.
Okay.
The National Toy Hall of Fame. They have. Did I take yours away?
No.
Oh, okay. When you grunt like that, I think, oh, I grabbed his.
No, I'm very I'm intrigued.
Okay, the National Toy Hall of Fame in Rochester, New York, announced this year's inductees. They will be My Little Pony.
Okay.
Transformers.
Ooh, now we're talking.
And I guess it's a card game called Phase 10. I'm not familiar with it.
I've heard of that before.
Yeah, I've played
You played Phase 10?
Yeah.
You know, I was, what is it? Skip-Bo. I was a Skip-Bo guy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like Skip-Bo.
This is, and they had other nominees. Apples to Apples, Balloons. I mean,
just regular balloons.
There's a lot of entertainment in a helium balloon.
That's true.
Yeah.
Water balloon.
Choose your own water balloon. There you go.
Yeah.
Choose your own adventure books. Has toy trucks. Pokemon trading card game. Remote controlled vehicles and Sequence the Stick Horse. I don't know anything about Sequence the.
Never heard of that.
Sequence. Oh no, Sequence. Sequence is a different thing from this. It's not a stick horse named Sequence. It's
gotcha.
Sequence, the stick horse, and the ever popular trampoline.
I'd name my stick horse Old Paint, and I'd slap it. Giddy up, Old Paint.
There you go. I bet that was fun. But I just wondered. I mean, some of these games are of a certain era.
Yep.
So I just wondered if each of us are slightly different, ages. I just wondered, what were the big games when you were a kid? Ken?
Well, Monopoly was a real big game whenever I was a kid.
Yeah.
I would spend whenever it was real hot there in East Texas. Me and my neighbor, we would spend all day long playing Monopoly either at my house or his house.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, my favorite was the electric football game.
Oh,
yeah.
I would always have at least one of those little fellas that would go straight. And, of course, he was on my team.
Yeah, and then there's one that just spins in a circle.
Yes. That was the other 20.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I never had one of those.
Along the same lines, about that time, I think, came out the ever-popular Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Which I never had one, but I had friends that had them, and they were fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you would get in there and you'd have your little levers, and they would be throwing punches at each other in this little ring, and then you'd hit one in the chin, and his thing go
knock his block off.
His head would pop up.
Yeah.
And you pushed it back down and went right back at it.
Yep.
And then one of your friends would get mad, and you would really fight them.
Yeah. What about you, Chris? What was of your era?
Well, when I was young, one of my favorites was the Hungry Hippos.
Oh,
I loved that. You know, I had 4 hippopotamuses and then a bunch of white little marbles, and then you push the lever and his mouth goes out and chomps up whoever chomps the most marbles wins. So that was a fun one when I was real young. But I think probably and of course Monopoly was there as well. But one of my favorites was the game Sorry.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I loved that game because it could go on for hours and hours, and you think you're going to win, and then all of a sudden someone, just completely blows you up, and you have to,
That's the one with the marbles that goes around the board,
Well,
right?
it's just got the little, look like almost like pawns in a chess game. But you have multicolored, and you have to go all the way around the board and then go to your safe zone and then get in your little circle. And once you get all of your little men into the circle, that's how you win. But it could go on for ages because if you on your way around the board, if someone lands on your spot, they take your spot and you go all the way back to the start.
Yeah.
So that was hours of fun. That was probably one of my favorite board games.
Yeah.
But as far as your inductees in this list, Transformers, that was the biggest toy when I was, 5, 6, 7 years old. I loved Transformers.
Well, I was of the era of everything that came from the company called Whammo.
Yes.
Whammo. They had the Whammo frisbee was a Whammo thing. The shoop hula hoop.
Now, what was different in that in a normal hula hoop?
It had these little weights in there inside the hula hoops, and they would make a noise. And the thing is, I used to be really good at that, and my sister was great. The hula hoop thing, and then so I ran into one. I found one day. I said, I can still do this. I think it's very different when you no longer have a waist. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. And you're a little bit bigger around now than you were back then too.
Now
right?
my circumference is almost as big as the hula hoop.
Right.
So that didn't work out so well. But I used to tell you that there was this one thing that they've been banned now. It was a super ball. It was called Super Ball.
Super Ball.
And it was black, and it was super compressed rubber of some kind. and you could if you threw that on hard down on the ground, it'd go 50, 60 feet in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, it would. It had so much, and then you could spin it, and it had texture to it, and it would bounce weird ways.
Mm-hmm.
But the Super Ball, the problem is that the kids would get it and they would throw it, and they would get in the way of the Super Ball, and it would hit them in the face, and it would bloody their nose or break out their teeth, and they quit having to do the Super Ball. But I mean, I spent hours with the Super Ball from Whammo.
Yeah.
I wonder if you could still get. I bet you could find one on eBay.
The Monster Magnet came from Whammo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're on Amazon. Super Bowls are on Amazon.
Yeah, well, I wonder if they're like the ones that we used to. Because I'm telling you, they're probably not.
They're probably they probably taken the danger from them.
Of course,
they're
taken all the.
They're probably hollow. There's probably just air in them.
Made out of foam.
Yeah, there was a skateboards were real big the first round, and then they came back, and they became even huger. But I was in the first round, where they didn't have the fancy skateboards. They were literally it was like taking a pair of roller skates and putting them on a board.
Yeah.
Now, the
old Marty McFly invention from when he went back to the 50s.
And I guess the other thing, my best toy that I ever got, and I just adored the thing, was a unicycle.
That's right.
Yeah.
I used to ride a unicycle all over West Odessa.
What an image.
Or all over East Odessa.
Big old tall Brian on a unicycle, man.
I'm going to the pool. See you later. I just had to go up
Were
to the
you
park.
juggling while you were riding the unicycle?
No. But can I tell? I'm taking up all the time.
Do it, dude.
There was this one thing though, is that to learn to ride the unicycle, you had to brace yourself on something.
Yeah.
And so I had a driveway, and my mom had a '67 Cougar parked in the carport. We didn't have a garage; we had a carport. And so I would lean up against the back of the '67 Cougar, and then I would go down the driveway as far as I could, and then eventually it's amazing. Just it's like you keep doing that and you keep doing that, then all of a sudden you sort of get it, and all of a sudden you can now ride a unicycle.
Yeah.
So I come out and my mom said, "Let me see what you can do." And I took off down the driveway. I was riding a unicycle. I was doing pretty good with it, and I got better and better as I rode it more and more. But then she looked at her car. And I had the back, the seat of the unicycle had caused all of these gouges in the trunk of her '67 Cougar.
That's a pretty hot little ride, man. A '67 Cougar.
My mom always built cool cars, yeah. And so my dad came home, and I got in such huge trouble. He said, "Well, you're going to pay for it." I said, "I don't know, Dad. I don't have any money. I was just a kid." He said, "No, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay. You did it, and you're going to pay for it." And, and that was it. So we went down. I remember. Now I know how parents think, right?
Yes.
But I didn't know at the time. And so I go down to the dealership and we're doing we're the guy's coming out to look at it, and I'm in the back seat looking out the back window as this guy's examining, and I'm listening, you know, and I did not know at the time this was all being done for my benefit, right? And so he said, well, how much do you think, sir, it's going to cost to repair the trunk lid? You know, they're speaking very loud so I can hear them. And the guy said, I don't know, $300-400. And I might have said $1 million. I didn't have anywhere that kind of money. And he said, and she said, oh, well, my son is going to have to pay for this. Really? Oh, I don't know. Maybe we could do it for $75. Now, I'm sure it did cost $300 or $400. Yeah. But they had me, you know, like $75 for me as a kid was immense. That was a lot of allowance I had to give up and everything in my bank.
Yeah.
And I paid that $75. Now, it probably cost them a lot more, but they made me think I paid for it. You know, which I thought was interesting parenting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
But I would never, you know, and to this day, I shudder to think about all the damage I did to the back of that '67 Cougar.
But I bet you didn't do any more damage to it after that.
I never did. I was always more careful in the future, right? Because I didn't want to have to pay.
I had a friend back in East Texas whenever I was growing up. He brought out his dad's compound hunting bow as a toy one time.
Oh. Wow.
And we had all the neighborhood kids go down the block, and he shot the arrows up in the air, and we'd tell them when they could scatter out of the way.
It's amazing we all didn't die.
I'm telling you, man. I can't believe we did that. Fortunately, I was behind him. I said, okay, go ahead, shoot. And I mean, that sucker, that bow was powerful.
Yeah, it's like lawn darts on steroids right there, boy.
That's very nice.
That was a fun toy.
All right. Well, I was going to say we got time for one more, but we really don't, because I took up all that time telling that old geezer story.
He got a
two geezer stories in one day.
Wow. New record.
I know. Yeah, 50 minutes past the hour, 5 o'clock. You know, the folks at Stoltzko are the place you could go if you need a pole barn, and do they build great buildings. I mean, really amazing stuff. So the brothers at Stoltzko are the two guys you need to talk to if you need one. But they have a question for you. You know, if you got any land, are you doing anything with it? Well, why not invest in that land and make it more valuable? Build a pole barn out there. What kind of pole? Well, maybe you build a barn dominium, a place to go on the weekends. Maybe you build a pole barn that could be used as a garage or a tool barn. Or how about this, an equestrian space if you're in the horsey scene. And here's an idea. Turn it into a event space and then rent it out. Or maybe just, you know, build something that you'll have a place to go and hang out on the weekends. Whatever it is, just go to their website, stoltzko.com, STOLTZCO.com. Take a look at what they've done for other people, and you'll get exactly what they're all about. And when you do, then give them a call, 615-622-5992. Or visit them online, stoltzko.com. That's stoltzko.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
It doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And in Louisville, officials working to clear the scene of an explosion at a local food coloring plant. Several people injured. It led to evacuations. Gabriel Gonzalez on the scene.
Plenty of firefighters, plenty of police cars still monitoring this situation because of that explosion that sent at least 11 people to the hospital. Right now, we're unsure of their conditions. I spoke to somebody who has a house right across the street. That person said the windows blew out from that explosion.
Trump transition. President-elect Trump confirming 3 more appointments this afternoon for a total of 5 today. They are former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe as CIA Director, Joseph McGinley as White House Counsel, Stephen C. Witkoff to be Special Envoy to the Middle East, whom Trump says will be an unrelenting voice for peace, former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee as U.S. Ambassador to Israel, and Florida Congressman Mike Waltz as National Security Advisor. Right now in Tennessee, state lawmakers are working on legislation that changes the bonding and monitoring process to make sure what happened to Lauren Johansson never happens again. Channel 4's Marissa Sulik says the Mississippi woman was murdered, allegedly by her ex-boyfriend Bryson Rivers, after he was able to cross state lines after being released from the Davidson County Jail.
State senators took the first step in creating new laws from Johansson's death. They talked about electronic signatures, streamlining local rules, and separating bonding and monitoring companies. That was an issue senators believe led to Johansson's murder.
Yeah, Brooks Bonding and Freedom Monitoring were responsible for bonding out and monitoring Rivers, and a judge determined there were 9 mistakes made between the two. Headed to the inbox at the Federal Communications Commission, an open letter from more than 100 scientists demanding a temporary halt to satellite launches. Jim Ryan says they're worried about the potential environmental impact of the world's new space race.
3, 2, 1.
At Florida's Cape Canaveral Monday, spectators were treated to not 1,
3, 2, 1. Ignition.
but 2 SpaceX launches, one carrying a Korean communication satellite, the other hauling 24 Starlink satellites into orbit. In their letter to the FCC, the astronomers complained that no study has been done on the effect of mega constellations of satellites on air quality, on the risk to people on Earth, and the danger to astronauts aboard the International Space Station.
And from the space race to an ice race, 2 Americans crossed the frigid finish line in an ultra marathon in Antarctica. The superhuman-like runners braved 13 below zero temperatures and wind chills into the negative 20s in the Antarctic Ice Ultra, logging 100 miles on the vast snowy stretch. The winners completed the ice-cold race in 23 hours and 22 minutes. That's breaking a world record. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. In addition to the stop and go to get out of the downtown area, we've got some crashes that we're going to have to get around. Right now, 24 eastbound at Haywood Lane, an accident there in Antioch reported by police. We got 24 eastbound in Laverne. Looks like that's at Waldron Road. Checking over here in Wilson County, we've got the shoulder blocked by a crash, 40 eastbound right before Highway 109. And this is from the Wilson County Sheriff's Office. Stewart's Ferry Pike will be completely shut down for an extended period of time between Gladeville Circle and Suggs Creek due to a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Good evening, everyone. Brian Wilson on this 12th day of November. It is getting cool. It is fall-like weather. I mean, 56 degrees. That's a good nip in the air, you know. Feels good. I like it. So, listen, we got one more hour to go before we hand it over to Mark Levin. So let's begin, shall we? There's this story. It's an unbelievable story that in times of emergency, with this hurricane and the floods that followed in North Carolina and eastern Tennessee and other places as well, you count on the federal government to come and help you. And I've always said, you need to be prepared to protect yourself and to handle your business for a few days because it'll take a while for the government to get up and running. But eventually, that you expect that the federal government is going to come and lend you a helping hand and give you some assistance and start the process of rebuilding. Every American sort of thinks that's what's going to happen. Well, apparently there was in North Carolina an edict came down somewhere on some level that for the FEMA workers, they weren't, if they came to a house and it had a Trump sign on it, they were supposed to just pass it by. That is about as wrong as anything can possibly be. Because of someone's political persuasion, they're not going to get the help of the federal government in times of disaster. Here's what we know. An employee from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has been fired from her position, according to the Epoch Times, after she allegedly urged her team not to visit homes with signs backing then-president candidate, former President Trump. The director of the agency said amid mounting investigations into the matter. In a statement posted on social media platform, FEMA Director Deanne Criswell said the employee, who she did not name, was terminated and that the agency has referred the matter to the Office of Special Counsel. This is a clear violation of FEMA's core values and principles to help people regardless of their political affiliation, she wrote on Saturday. This was reprehensible. And I want to be clear to all my employees and the American people, this type of behavior and action will not be tolerated at FEMA, and we will hold people accountable if they violate these standards of conduct. Both Republican Governor Ron DeSantis and Tennessee Governor Bill Lee have said that they will investigate the matter to see if it happened in Florida or if it happened in Tennessee. The comments from the FEMA administrator and DeSantis did not mention the exact time frame or location of the incident. FEMA workers have helped Florida residents recover from last month's devastating Hurricane Milton. Days before that, Hurricane Helene had just hit another area in Florida, causing significant devastation in western North Carolina. FEMA has a workforce of 22,000 people that can swell to 50,000 active members during a major disaster. It has 10 regional offices and the capacity to coordinate resources from across the federal government. Screenshots and internal messages published by the Daily Wire show that a female official allegedly told relief workers who were identifying residents eligible for federal aid in Lake Placid, Florida, that they should avoid homes advertising Trump. One photo shows a home with a Trump flag and a note, Trump sign, no entry per leadership. See, that's the thing that catches my attention. Other notes, per leadership, no Trump, no stop, Trump flag, Trump sign, no contact per leadership, according to the screenshots. Now, I got to tell you, that is very concerning because what it says to me, per leadership, this came down from somebody. This came down from on high. And there's all kinds of, investigations going on right now into this matter. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in that regard. But I got to tell you, it is very, very, very interesting to hear these kinds of reports. So there's that. Governor Lee says he'll ask the Attorney General to investigate the matter in greater detail. Chris, would you, by the way, would you be looking for some breaking news from Trump for the moment?
Yes.
I'm getting an indication there may be something coming down. So there is that. That's just wrong. I mean, I got to tell you that the thing that drives me crazy is this is the idea that somebody would withhold the very important information and support that they need just because of who they happen to be supporting politically. It's just wrong on every level. I hope that this person not only remains fired, but there is also, quite frankly, I think there ought to be some prosecution of that individual on some level. We're heading into a lame duck session of Congress, and here's what to expect. Jockeying for the leadership roles is already underway. Congress will likely act only to prevent a government shutdown while we're doing things. No man, woman, child, or small animal is safe when a lame duck Congress is in session. That's what we used to say. We used to run around with badges on, no lame ducks. And it had a picture of a duck with crutches. It was a lame duck, you see. But anyway, there we go. It's a ridiculous, weird time. It really is. And so let's see what happens. There will be some things that happen. They got to figure out how to do there's no way they're going to pass a budget. I'm pretty sure of that fact. So there we have that. And then so they'll have to do a CR, a continuing resolution, and we'll see how that works out. When they get back, which they came back today, there will be some swearing-ins over in the Senate, believe it or not. Senate-elect and current Representative Adam Schiff will be sworn into the Senate, and a seat held by the late Dianne Feinstein, even though, he serves, he had to do the special election thing, and so there's that going on. The special election, as required by state law, is to serve the remaining months of Feinstein's term, and that took down temporary appointee Senator LaFonza Butler of Democrat of California, will be leaving the body. And then on top of that, Representative Andy Kim, Democrat New Jersey, will also join the body early because he was the guy who was chosen to replace Robert Menendez in New Jersey. The current temporary appointee will resign so that Governor Phil Murphy can appoint Kim before the regular term begins. So those are the things, a couple little things that will happen in the background. Again, we'll get another CR. Now, the thing that I would watch out for, and you say, well, what in the world could go wrong here? Well, it's that the Democrats are still in control of the Senate, and it seems to me that what might happen here is that the Democrats will try to ram through at the last minute a bunch of Democrat judges. I don't know that there's going to be any way to stop them, but that's what will happen. You know, you realize that they only have a little bit more time. They know that they're about to lose power. So don't be surprised if the Democrats try to do that, and that will be something that will cause outrage everywhere. We are now, is there something going on?
Yeah, I did. You asked me to check for some breaking stuff. Just now posted on Donald Trump's Truth Social account. Quoting here, I'm honored to announce that I have nominated Pete Hegseth to serve in my cabinet as the Secretary of Defense.
Oh, my goodness. I got a little text that said you need to check this out. I didn't want to do it without you checking.
It was just now posted just a few seconds ago.
Our friend Pete Hegseth is going to be the Secretary of Defense.
Interesting.
Wow. Well, I mean, there's no chance at all that he'll take my call right now because I'm sure his phone is blowing up.
Yep.
But that is amazing. So the guy that's on our show every Wednesday, he's supposed to be with us tomorrow. Well, I wonder if he'll be with us tomorrow.
Maybe he can confirm.
Well, I'm just going to send him a little note here.
Yeah. That's
huge. You know, and you know what? What a great job that is. Secretary of Defense. Wow. That's just amazing. Well, he'll have to resign immediately, of course, from Fox, and that's the way that goes. Nobody would stop him. And, you know, I've always felt that Pete had, you know, public service beyond broadcasting in his heart. I've always felt that way about him. You know, and I know him a little. We've, you know, sadly, we've not had the opportunity to spend a great deal of time together, even though he now lives in Sumner County. But, you know, just having him on the show every Wednesday as a regular guest, you get to know the guy a little bit. And I think we all know about the cut of his jib and what he's all about. And he'll make a great Secretary of Defense. You know, what's ironic is basically he had to leave the military. Not he didn't no dishonorable charge or anything like that, but he had to leave because, frankly, he just couldn't. He was looked at as somebody who was too much of a believer in, you know, and what they did, and wasn't willing to apparently, you know, bend to their rules at times when you know, it had to do with and they thought that he was like, you know, he was too far right to be a leader within the military, that his political beliefs got in the way of his ability as a leader. Well, this would then be the perfect job for him because it is a political job. It is an appointment where you're given the job. But I mean, the worldwide military will now be under the command of someone who has been a guest on this show every Wednesday for, the last year or so?
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah. Trump's posted, just going to what you just said, continued saying, Pete has spent his entire life as a warrior for the troops and for the country. Pete is tough, smart, and a true believer in America first. With Pete at the helm, America's enemies are on notice. Our military will be great again, and America will never back down.
Wow. Well, I hope that he will join us tomorrow. You know, but, I mean, who knows? I mean, his life has just blown up. I mean, his life just got a lot more interesting. And, you know, but, boy, do I like that idea. How about them apples? Well, we're gonna take a break here. I'm gonna send him a text and see if I can get a response. I don't imagine I will, because I have a feeling that I'm not the only person that has Pete Hegseth's his phone number, but I will try it and see what kind of response I get. It is now 20 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. But first, Genesis Diamond's biggest last and store-wide sale of the year is coming. It's November 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. That is next Friday through Sunday. And so, listen, you definitely want to get involved in this. It is an extraordinary event with savings of 20, 25, up to 35% store-wide. This is the event that people wait for all year long. Rings, earrings, pendants, bands, bracelets, nothing held back for this once-a-year 3-day sale. Acclaimed designers from New York and California will be flying in with expanded collections and special pricing. It's like the biggest jewelry trunk show you've ever seen, times 10. Check out all new collections and the latest styles in both fashion and bridal jewelry. Plus, get 0% interest financing so you can spread your payments out. Don't miss this year's best jewelry event, the one where they break all the rules. And yes, Genesis pre-owned Rolexes are also included. Check out their hard-to-find Rolex models and get special pricing for this event. Lab-grown diamonds also included. It is the final store-wide sale of the year with discounts up to 35%. Genesis Diamonds, 3 days only. November 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, only at Genesis Diamonds, my jewelry store, Green Hills in Cool Springs.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 25 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. I'm just blown away that somebody who has been a regular feature on this program every Wednesday when we were lucky, Pete Hegseth, and he lives in Sumner County, and then he goes back and forth to New York on a regular basis. But now, he's going to become the Secretary of Defense. I'm just blown away. I think this is probably... I've known people before who get, appointments to the federal job, but this is the biggest, somebody that I personally know getting an appointment to go to the, a Secretary of Defense in charge of the worldwide military of this country and all that involves. Pete's a smart guy. He has an Ivy League education. By the way, he went to Harvard and gave up his diploma after he graduated because he felt like he couldn't stand with some of the things that were going on. We've talked to him a lot about everything in the world. I think his judgment is astute. I think he's definitely one of the guys who really has it going on, and there's no doubt about his bona fides. He's a rock-ribbed conservative and a true believer he's a patriot. He's a true believer in this country. And right now on Fox News, you're seeing all of these pictures of a very young, baby-faced Pete Hegseth in military uniform. He wrote a book about his experiences, which was pretty much a critique of what had happened at the Pentagon. One of the things that I can promise you that's going to happen is that woke will be leaving the Pentagon. Because that's one of the things that he wrote his book about, was that he felt like the Pentagon had lost its direction, had lost its mission, that there was too much of a DEI quality and concern among the Biden administration, and that we really need to get back to the basics of making sure that we have military readiness, which I do not think we have at the top levels right now. But this is the first time I've known someone personally who gets such a high-ranking job. What a thing this is. Pete Hegseth, if you're just joining us, has been chosen as the Secretary of Defense in the Trump administration, which means his life is going to change, his family life is going to change. I would assume they'll have to move back to some degree, maintain a residence inside the Beltway or near in Northern Virginia somewhere. Not far from the Pentagon. One way or the other, his life is about to change in a big way, and I think it's a great appointment, a fabulous appointment for this administration. And I sent him a note. I said, "Wow, just wow." I assume this means you're still going to be with us tomorrow at 4:35.
Just put the pressure on you.
Yeah, you might as well get your bid in while you can, know?
Yeah, that's right.
But that's really something. I know I've always felt that he had this sort of the desire for more public service. I sort of thought he might run for office. That's what I thought. I thought that, that he might have that bug, to run for public office and to serve. But, really, honestly, he can do more good to put this country back in shape where it needs to be. I don't think our military is as ready as it should be. I don't think our military is prepared for the things that we need to be preparing for. I think right now they have sent so much of our military equipment to Ukraine that I'm not sure that if we had to mount a serious military effort somewhere else in the world, I'm not sure we would have the resources to do it. He'll be on the cutting edge of all the new technology and all the things that are being developed, including sixth-generation fighters for the Air Force. He'll be responsible for maintaining our readiness. And I'm telling you, of all the things that I thought might happen today, this is not one of them. This comes as a shot out of the blue. But once again, if you're just joining us, the news is that the Secretary of Defense choice of Donald Trump will be our own friend right here in Sumner County, Pete Hegseth, as for Secretary of Defense. Wow, what a day. It is 30 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news on Super Talk. Let me tell you about Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. They have basic smart care plans, just $69 a month, which includes free office visits and free basic labs and diagnostic tests over the course of that year. At Grace Point, you're usually seen the same day or the next day, and there are no long wait times in the wait room. That's good. Grace Point is your primary provider, and it treats the entire family from newborns to seniors. Now, we're in the middle of fall allergy season, and if you have fall allergies, they can be rough. Don't suffer through another seasonal change. Get complete testing and treatment and enjoy the beauty of fall this year. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice located in the heart of Franklin. Here's the number, 599-6868, to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 37 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. Head still spinning here over the news that Pete Hegseth, a good friend of this program, is going to be the new Secretary of Defense, assuming he gets confirmed, and I don't anticipate there be any problems with all of that. He is 44 years old. He is from Forest Lake, Minnesota. He is a Republican. He has... an education that, it is Ivy League, Princeton, and then followed by Harvard. And so there is that. Received a Master's of Public Policy from the John F. Kennedy School of Government at Harvard University. And he was the publisher of the Princeton Tory, a conservative student-run publication, and played on the Princeton Tigers basketball team. I didn't know that. He joined Bear Stearns upon graduation from Princeton as an equity capital market analyst, and also commissioned as a reserve infantry officer into the U.S. Army National Guard. He did some time there. He volunteered to serve in Baghdad and Samarra, where he held the position of infantry platoon leader, and later in Samarra as civil military operations officer. During his time in Iraq, he was awarded the Bronze Star, Combat Infantry Badge, and Second Army Commendation Medal. He returned to active duty in 2012 as a captain, was deployed to Afghanistan with the Minnesota Army National Guard, acted as a senior counterinsurgency instructor at the Counterinsurgency Training Center in Kabul. Hegseth, a major, currently serves in the Individual Ready Reserves. He's been awarded 2 Bronze Stars for his service overseas. Upon a return from Iraq, he worked at a think tank, and then he went to work, did a bunch of other things before he went to Fox. And, boy, he's had a great run over there as well. He joined Fox News as a contributor in 2014. And is, of course, the host of the Fox and Friends on the week, one of the co-hosts of the Fox and Friends on the Weekend segment. And this is the thing I was telling you about. He crossed out Harvard on his diploma writing in critical theory and marked it return to center because he was so disgusted with what Harvard had become. He has the degree, but he has sent it back to them, return to center with his college diploma. So anyway, and then it's added here on the Wikipedia page. He announced he intends to nominate, but Trump announced today that he intends to nominate Hegseth to serve as the next Secretary of Defense.
Those Wikipedias are fast, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, this has only happened about 20 minutes ago. It's already up there. So anyway, wrote a book, which was a New York Times bestseller. And so there you have it. Pete Hegseth, age 44, of Sumner County. That's his home. Sumner County, Tennessee, is going to be replacing, if everything goes well, and I can expect that it will, Lloyd Austin as Secretary of Defense. Just how about that? Whew, something else. There's a lot of things. This is the kind of stuff that happens during this transition time where you get this big news, huge news. One of the things that's happening, and much has been said about it, and I know you have some great interest in it, is that there is a battle right now for Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He's gone. He's not going to be coming back as in the leadership. He remains a senator from Kentucky, but it's going to be somebody new. Now, the 3 people whose names have been put forward here and have expressed interest in it are the 2 Johns, John Thune and John Cornyn. Cornyn of Texas, Thune of South Dakota, and Rick Scott of Florida. Rick Scott is getting, apparently a lot of people over in Trump world are pushing very, very, I've not heard the president say this, but I have heard that apparently a lot of people in his orbit are pushing very hard for Rick Scott to become the majority leader. So where does that stand? First, let's hear from Scott himself, talking about what he brings to the game.
I'm very optimistic. I believe I'm going to win. Thune and Cornyn are friends. Here's what I bring to the table. I clearly believe in the Trump agenda, number one. I'm a business guy that has success doing exactly what we need to do in the Senate. We need to have a plan. We need to work a plan. We need to have a team. We need to measure ourselves. If we want to get all the nominees done, we've got to figure out a plan to get it done. If we want to get a balanced budget, we got to start today to get a balanced budget. If we want to get the border secure, if we want to get whatever policies we have to get through Congress, we have to have a plan, just like what you do in business. I ran a company with 285,000 employees. We had a written plan for everything to get it done. My colleagues have told me they want change. They want to be treated as equal. They want to be part of a team. They want to have an agenda. They want to have a great relationship with the House. They know I have a great relationship with Speaker Mike Johnson. So I'm very optimistic that I'm going to win because I'm representing Trump's agenda and what my colleagues want.
Now, I know that many of you within the sound of my voice are saying, well, listen, I want it to be Scott. I want it to be Scott. I want it to be Scott. And you're agitating for that. And that's fine. I have no problem with Senator Scott. I knew him a little bit as governor of Florida. I like him. I think he's a very solid conservative. However, I think you need to understand that he may not win this thing. And I'm not trying to rain on your parade if you're excited about Rick Scott. It's just that I think my obligation is not to tell you the things that you want to hear. My obligation is to tell you the things as I best can discern the truth. And so, and the truth of the matter is there are some senators who have a concern with Scott, and I'm not sure he's going to get it across the goal line. I will say this. He was in charge of trying to get senators reelected. And it didn't go so well in 2022. We didn't do very well, and we were supposed to be a big red wave. That didn't emerge. And a lot of people have looked at Rick Scott very critically for how he handled that. Here is, again, I don't think he has anything against Rick Scott, but here's Britt Hume's assessment of it, and I think he has some interesting points.
Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk and others who are supporting Senator Scott. I actually think Senator Scott's kind of a long shot. The reason being that, for example, he was the head of the National Republican Senatorial Committee in the 21-22 election cycle, raised a ton of money. As you may recall, the Republicans had a very disappointing result in those midterm elections. Remember the big red wave was supposed to come, it never broke. And there were a lot of questions about where all that money went, why it was all spent so early in the process, and how much of it was spent by Scott to boost himself, and I don't think he's close to a lot of senators, and I think this pressure from Trump world to support him is likely to backfire. Senators are jealous of their authority, their powers. They don't like to be told what to do, and I think that the other two candidates are more likely to win. I couldn't tell you which one, but I think Scott's a long shot.
So Haggerty, our Senator Haggerty, has said that he would support Scott. Senator Blackburn has been asked about it, and she apparently on Newsmax interview said that she's reaching out to Scott. She wants to talk to Scott. She's not making any commitments to it. The bottom line is they go into a room, and it's a secret vote. Republicans will go into a room and it'll be a secret vote, and we may hear some numbers about who got this vote and who got that. But at the end of the day, you're probably not going to be able to find out how an individual senator voted unless they want to reveal it. So what does that mean? It means that senators can go in there and vote their conscience. And all I will tell you is, as somebody who's covered that institution, is that it's a very clubby place. And you may say, well, that's what's wrong. I'm not arguing that you're wrong. You're not wrong. It is too clubby. But one thing that senators will look at is who's done a favor for me in the past. And one of the people who has helped virtually all of these senators with the raising of money has been John Cornyn. Now, Thune is probably, if I were going to say of the three, probably more closely aligned with Mitch McConnell and his style of politics. I think he's a conservative, and I think he's a very shrewd operator. I think Cornyn's a very shrewd operator. been around for a while. So, these two guys are establishment. And you would have to say Rick Scott, as a more recent member to the Senate, is probably somebody who is looked at as the outsider. And, outsiders are winning right now. So, look, I know there's a big campaign, but all the pressure in the world being placed on a senator, honestly, it doesn't matter because their vote will be secret. So I don't know. I don't have. I think that each of these three guys have their advantages and disadvantages. But I would listen to what Brit Hume said about this part. This part right here is sort of important.
And I don't think he's close to a lot of senators.
See, that part is important.
And I think this pressure from Trump world to support him is likely to backfire. Senators are jealous of their authority, their powers. They don't like to be told what to do.
That's exactly right. They don't. They believe in the separateness of the body. That that the House and the Senate are the legislative branch and the executive branch. And although we're all Republicans and all this, that, and the other, they don't look like they are. They don't want to look like they're beholden to the administration. That there is a separation of powers, and they don't like to be told what to do. So I don't know. I could be wrong, and I have been wrong before. But my sense of it is that probably it's not going to be Scott. Now, I know other people are going to be livid about that, but I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to make you mad at me. I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong in what you believe. All I'm telling you is my experience and the things I know about some of these individuals and their relationships with one another inside this institution. Tell me that he is a long shot. I'm not the only one to believe that, and Hume is not the only one to believe that. There are a bunch of people who sort of know the lay of the land up there who feel like he is a very long shot. But we'll see. He ran once before, and I think he got 10 votes. So we'll see whether or not the pressure that has been placed on people and the sort of the grassroots pressure that is coming in the form of phone calls and et cetera, will have any impact or not. It could. If it does, then I'll be considered wrong. I'll be the first to tell you I was wrong. So there you go. By the way, I want to get into this tomorrow. Perhaps I'll get into it in a greater way. Trump wants to shut down the Department of Education. And a lot of people are saying, well, how would that work? How would that work? Well, quite frankly, I love the idea. I think we should shut down the Department of Education. I think education ought to be something that is handled on the state level, on the county level, on the city level, and the communities. I think that's where education ought to be, and that the federal government ought to be out of it. And the idea is if you shut it all down, you can take all that money and distribute it evenly to people and let them spend that money as they see fit without having any mandates from on high. Love it, love it, love it. 50 minutes now past the hour. Let me tell you about the folks over at Eurofix. They've got, a lot of places that you can go to get your car worked on. And, boy, I tell you, they have a new place. I guess it's not all that new because it's been there for a while now. And that would be their location over in Mount Juliet. That's what you need right there is you need a facility there. It's right on Mount Juliet Road across from the Dairy Queen. And so if you're looking to have some work done on your car, your European car, then, you ought to consider it. I love when a company, a hometown company starts to do well, and it's cool watching them grow and grow and grow. This is a company that started in a barn in the backyard of a single wide trailer, and it has grown now to 5 locations, repairing thousands of cars each month. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you got to do to start this process is to give them a call. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com and tell them that your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.